What do you say, everybody? Welcome to our Friday watch party here on the Cubs Baseball Channel. It is great to talk to all of you guys as we get set for the Cubs and the Miami Marlins. It's Fish Friday with Anthony Pasquale. I'm Mick Gillispie, and again, it's great to have all of you guys with us here today. Like and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. Anthony, you ready for some baseball after you got rained out Thursday?
Yeah, without a doubt. I was excited to get to the game yesterday, but unfortunately, as soon as we were on the way, we got the news that the game had been postponed. So now I'm excited to go tomorrow, but I'm very pumped for some Cubs baseball today. Nothing better than the only game on TV because it's 1:20, it's Friday, and it's the Cubs. I can't wait.
I run through the starting lineup. Let me pop it up on the screen for everyone, and let's get ready for this one. Let's start with the Marlins, who have had a terrible season right now, 4-16.
Yeah, they haven't been good. 1, 2, 3 are all pretty familiar names. Arias won the batting title in the National League last year. De La Cruz is, of course, related to Ellie on the Reds. Jazz Chisholm in the 3 spot. Josh Bell, who the Cubs have seen a lot with the Pirates and the Marlins and the Nationals. Then Sanchez, Tim Anderson, a former Chicago White Sox. Gordon, Rivera, and Fortes round out their lineup. You can see that bottom 3 has been really rough. AJ Puck on the mound. A lot of walks, not a lot of strikeouts so far for the Marlins. Then on the Cubs side of things, they're playing against a lefty, so obviously Nico Hoerner is going to lead off. There's a new name up there in the 2-hole, Patrick Wisdom, back from Iowa. He was raking in Iowa, coming back from that injury. He'll be in the 2 spot. Then 3, 4, 5 is Bellinger, Morel, and Swanson. Ian Happ, you'll be seeing him bat righty out of the 6th hole. Then Garrett Cooper, Nick Madrigal getting the start at 3rd, and Miguel Amaya behind the plate for Jameson Tyion making his season debut, and he'll get things going for the Cubs on the mound today.
Were you surprised at all with the roster moves yesterday? The roster moves, as you guys know, was bringing Patrick Wisdom up, Miles Mastrobuoni sent down, and Miles Mastrobuoni hadn't played a whole lot, so you can always say, hey, you got to go down there and get work, and then it was Hayden Wesneski, who pitched maybe the game of the year out of the bullpen, getting sent down. So now you got to wait 10 days before you can bring him back, and then Jameson Tyion.
Yeah, I think you were kind of on that early and said Wesneski was probably the guy that was going to get sent down, except he might have pitched himself into staying. But the fact of the matter is the Cubs stuck with the plan. They got as much as they could out of him, and then they sent him right back to Iowa. The tough part is it probably made the most sense to send down Brewer, but he hadn't pitched yet. So that would have just been an absolute waste of an option, especially with Wesneski down probably for today and tomorrow's 2 games. You would need Brewer and whoever else to help out of the bullpen because you've got a game today and a doubleheader tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think they can add another guy tomorrow, because of the doubleheader.
Can it be Wesneski?
I don't know. And that's what I'm wondering. But Ian Happ, Cody Bellinger, Patrick Wisdom, left to right in the outfield, Nick Madrigal, Dansby Swanson, Nico Hoerner over at first, Michael Busch at second, Michael Busch at first, and first pitch of the game's a fly out the center. This is 1 pitch, 1 out. I like the way this thing started. Bellinger, a nice grab.
Yeah, good start for Jameson Tyion. That's the type of outs you want to get early. Low pitch count, low stress. Try to get as deep into this game as you can. And he's a guy that I expected to take a really big step this year. I saw a ton of the work he was putting in over the offseason, and then you get to spring training and things don't go as well. So definitely something to keep an eye on in his first start of the season.
So who's De La Cruz? You talk about him. We know all about Ellie, but what about his brother, Brian De La Cruz?
Yeah, not hitting great so far this year, but he had a lot of power last season, and that's something I think the Marlins are hoping to get out of him in the 2-hole.
How's the weather?
Sunny, but it's chilly, but definitely beats the rain yesterday.
What are you expecting out of Tyion? I mean, we saw him here a couple weeks ago. He was in AAA. I think they would have liked to have gotten another start out of him in the minors, but it's one of those deals where, you're talking about a guy that hasn't pitched a lot, but you need him in the big leagues, right?
Yeah, it was one of those things that you kind of had to speed up his process as he gets a strikeout there. You kind of had to speed up the process just because you haven't been getting a lot of innings out of Kyle Hendricks, and your pitching staff is, somewhat injured with Steele and Merriweather. And then you've had a lot of ineffective pitchers out of the bullpen. We talked about Quas. We've talked about Palencia. They've been sent down, but you needed to get somebody up that can eat innings. And Wisniewski took 4 the other day, and hopefully Tyion can take 5 or 6 every 5 days.
Yeah, he just struck out De La Cruz. So you got 2 outs now in the top of the first. Hey, I'm sending that. I just dropped that link on Twitter, so you can hit that. Let's check out the comments section. Always great to hear from you guys. Ron Litt says, Wisdom batting second. I'm not getting that. Hey, look, Wisdom, but I heard Wisdom was hitting the ball so hard down in Iowa that they didn't have a choice. He batted 400 for like 9 games, home runs, doubles, like even the outs were painful. So I'm guessing that, you want to get him into the lineup and not waste that production down there. I guess through the season, you're always kind of looking for a spark,
Yeah, and that's one of the things, he's going to get these starts against lefties, and the Cubs are facing 3 lefties in this series against the Marlins. What better way to get him back into big league action than throw him some protection behind him with Bellinger and Morel?
There's a nice strike 3 called on a pitch that looked low and away.
Yeah, 2 Ks for Tyion in the first. We'll take it.
Hey, when they started to do the K zone, those umpires were like, oh, man. A guy like Angel Hernandez, who misses so much, looks horrible on that K zone. And that was a really good, that was a good first inning for Tyion, about as good as you could ask. Jordan says, I'm joining for Cubs baseball. The unexpected day off is rough. Yeah, and look, a lot of people were worried about that game yesterday being rained out because it's so tough to sweep a doubleheader. And when you've got the Marlins where we've got the Marlins right now, they absolutely stink. You want to go in there and just beat them up and take 4 games from them if you can, but it's tough to sweep a doubleheader.
It's really hard to sweep a doubleheader. It's one of the hardest things to do in baseball, and it's just because it's hard to play 2 games in a day, 18 innings worth. It's hard to be on the better side of both of those games. But if there's any team that you're going to get a chance to sweep, it's probably the Marlins at home. You have them right where you want them still. So tomorrow will be interesting to watch, but you got Assad and you got Imanaga, arguably the 2 Cubs' best starters so far this season. I think you still have to feel good about both of those games.
Jake says he said he'd come by and say hi. What's up, Jake? Yeah, what's up, Becky? Good to see you. Chapman got suspended for inappropriate actions. He was upset with an umpire and got a 2-game suspension. There's always those Cubs from 2016, man. There's a special place in my heart for all of them.
Yeah,
including him. Like I don't care about his suspension. Get mad at the umpires. Be nice to the people in your house, but you know what I mean. Like he's still going, man. He got a ring with Texas last year.
He did, and he's kind of bounced around. Obviously, went back to the Yankees, but he's a guy that the Cubs have, tossed around, potentially bringing back. But I think after 2016, the book was kind of closed.
Well, get in that comment section, guys. How about the Sox? We got to talk Sox baseball as AJ Puck takes the hill for the Marlins. They lost the horseshoe out of their behind this year. And we got Nico leading off. So I guess Nico's kind of back to the leadoff spot. Maybe Ian and a half done with that.
I think it's more so Council's really trusting this righty-lefty thing. So Hap is going to get the starts at leadoff.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
Nico.
All the way to the Ivy. Let's go. Let's go. It's double, baby. Nick.
Into the gap. Well, really quick, I want to flash the parlay of the day. I had Nico Hoerner to get a hit. The Cubs -1.5. Christopher Morel over 1.5 bases. So that could be 2 hits. It could be a double, whatever. And the alt over 8.5 on a day with the wind blowing out. Plus 490 odds.
Man, we should have got to that early because you would be like right on it with that Nico hit, right?
Yeah, Nico hit. He's strolling into second with the double. Great start for him. Yeah, he's going to get those starts in the leadoff spot against the lefties. And now we see Wisdom, his first at-bat of the season.
He's going deep. What do you think?
I'd love it. He's got the flow going. Gotta love that too.
Yeah.
I
try
know
to
a lot
rock
of the
that
guys
myself.
have it coming out of the helmet. Dansby's kind of known for that, but it's good to see him back. Obviously a fan favorite. So happy to have him back with the big league club.
His helmet looks like it's too small for his big head. You
Yeah, it
notice that?
does.
It's
And
like when my dad used to wear my hats as a kid. Like they just sit, or he would put those little ice cream hats, the baseball.
Oh,
you
yeah,
get
the
those
helmets.
like Cubs helmets, and you put them on there. Yeah, he'd walk around with those. It's kind of the same thing with this guy. I just think he's going deep right here.
The thing too is we talked about Mastroboni, and it's nothing against him as a player. He's fine defensively. He's a really good base runner. He just didn't really have a role with this team. Offensively, there wasn't a big fit for him, and with Morel playing better at third and Madrigal pretty much only being a defensive replacement at third and getting some of those pinch hit opportunities, you have Talkman off the bench. You didn't really need Mastroboni, but Wisdom's power is something that'll always play. He's just more of a threat, and I think that's why that part of the move makes sense.
Good to see you, John. John, you work the late shift, so always good to have you on for the Friday watch party.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
And he says, Tyion looked ready. Look, could be a really good first inning.
Wisdom.
Let's go, guys. Good to have you, Marvin.
Here.
I'm telling you, man, watch out. Watch out, bleachers. They didn't want any of them. Ball four.
They didn't want no piece of them.
He's locked and loaded. And like during the course of the season, guys get locked and loaded. Like they just get, I don't know what it is, but they just see the ball. And if you have a guy like that on your 40-man roster, and he's in AAA, you got to get him up just to see if you can cash in. And now we got Cody Bellinger with 2 on and no outs.
Yeah, one thing about Puck, we mentioned earlier, only 8 strikeouts on the season. The reason his ERA is so high, he's got the highest walk rate in baseball. He's already walked 11 guys in just 3 starts, and he hasn't gone deep in any of the 3. So him in free passes with the Cubs having a good eye is something to watch.
There we go, baby. There we go. Come on, Nick. That's what I'm talking about, man. That is what I'm talking about. When you got these teams that stink or they're playing really bad baseball, you got to jump on them early. And that's exactly what we did, man. We jumped on them early, ready to make something happen.
Yeah, that's how you have to do it against a team that, like you said, they're a bad team. Almost could have been a double play. Wisdom was taken off kind of on contact there, but Josh Bell couldn't come up with the catch. And it's an RBI hit for Cody Bellinger. Great base running from Nico Hoerner once again. We saw a lot of that on the road trip. Now, I'm going to say Morel.
You're going tomorrow, too, but you're going at night.
I got the night game.
Red Rebel Neck is going at
first MLB game. Enjoy it.
Oh, nice, dude. You're going to love it. All right, so now here's Morel in the cleanup spot. You like him there?
I do. I think it's a perfect spot for him because he's probably your best power hitter, and that's the guy you want up in these situations, first and second, no out. That's the guy you want up at the plate.
Hey, thanks. They gave this to me, but yeah, we'll have to sell it. All right, let's get it. No. That's not what we want.
Nah.
Double play hit by Morel. Rolled over that one. That's a big pitch because it felt like it was, and it still could, but you could really put a lot of pressure on them scoring a bunch of runs early.
Without a doubt. And you have to take advantage against teams like this, put them in a hole early and force their offense that's been underachieving to work themselves back into this game. It's also super important with a guy like Tyion coming off an injury. You don't know how many pitches you can get out of him. He had a stress-free first inning, and then putting him back out there with a lead, that's a nice thing for him.
So Morel got started hot with the bat, and then he wasn't very good. I don't want to say he couldn't play defense, but he was so bad at third, and I feel like he's kind of getting better at third, and now the bat's slowed down a little bit.
Yeah, you can tell that's definitely a focus of his. I know he had the grand slam on the road trip, which was a huge part of that win. I believe it was against the Padres, might have been the Mariners. Getting some of the games confused. They were all so late. But that was a nice swing, and you kind of thought he was going to hit his stride again, but he hasn't. So we'll have to keep our eye on him.
Need some runs here. More, give me more. And with a guy like this, Morel, he hurts himself being so aggressive because this guy wants to walk batters, so you got to take the walks. Like you can't just you don't want to be over aggressive with a guy that doesn't throw strikes.
Yeah.
Beautiful day at Wrigley, man. All right, here's Dansby to center, and I don't. Well, oh, that a boy. That had set. You got the high skies. You said it's cold. It's 97 off the bat, and that just had some backspin on it, and it took off. And those are plays that bad teams make right there. Or they don't make, right?
Yeah, you talk about the wind. It's howling out. Like that ball is just going to keep carrying and carrying and carrying. And you see Jazz out there. He came up as a second baseman. He's still getting used to center field. He's definitely not used to center field at Wrigley. So might be something to keep an eye on these Marlins outfielders as they get used to the conditions here.
Yeah, 2-zip. Love that.
That'll go down as a double for Dansby as well. So he decent contact there. Probably not, he didn't square it up, but gets one back in the hit column. I know he's been struggling too.
Good start to the game, though.
Very. 2-0 Cubs early. Gotta love it.
Keep trying to add to it, right?
Yeah, that was an uncharacteristic chase from Happ. He's usually so strong in the strike zone, but still, that'll do it for the inning, and the Cubs are up 2-0.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, man. I liked Happ in the leadoff spot, but he started to kind of sputter out there a little bit. And then, obviously, it just, I guess, just kind of flipping the lineup around. But I hope they don't give up on him. And you said it right. It's like having the left connection. But great start to the game. I mean, I went like in Banana Ball. Have you ever seen the Savannah Bananas?
Yeah, I've never watched like a full game, but I see their clips all the time, and I never scroll past them.
Yeah, like so I guess like they score like each inning as like a ninth inning. So if it was that, we'd be ahead of them 1-0, but we're really up 2-0, right?
That's how they score. They do it like you won the inning.
Yeah, so you can walk off like I don't know all the rules. One of my friends was telling me about it, so I don't.
So you're walking off every inning.
Yeah, you could, right? And I think they flip who's home and away. I don't know, but yeah. So pretty good first inning though. Tyion looked strong, got the first pitch out, and that seemed to just kind of get him going. I mean, you know how it is. Like you come off of the IL and you get that first batter. You don't want like 10 pitches. You want to just get a quick out and then like kind of build off of that.
Right, absolutely, and that's. He got the first fly out of the game and then 2 strikeouts. So, the stuff's working, and he's a guy that can add up those strikeouts for sure. It'll just be something you need to hone in that command and keep the confidence up. And that way Tyion can get you deep into ball games.
Corey says, what do y'all think of the new Mets jerseys? The Mets, you're talking about the City Connect Mets jerseys. I like them. They're like a concrete color. It's not like the Mets, are orange and blue, right? Because of the Dodgers and the Giants leaving, right? As we start the second inning now. And I like them, man. I love the Cubs City Connect jerseys the best, though, man. I love the hat. I've got a bunch of the gear. I think they did a great job with it.
Yeah, I think the navy blue pants are a little weird.
Yes, sir. 1 out. Nice little pop-up. Well, I mean, I think that's kind of part of it. So there's 1 out now in the second, a little pop up to the catcher.
I kind of wish the Cubs went more of powder blue for the jersey. I think that would have looked really cool. I like playing into those. Like you see the background of us, like the pinstripes with the powder blue. Like that's a color the Cubs have kind of played around with, but they haven't stuck with. And I think if they use the jerseys as powder blue and then navy blue said, Wrigleyville, I think that would have been really sweet. But the Mets, those jerseys, I've seen a lot of Mets fans on Twitter complaining that it doesn't say Queens. They wished instead of NYC.
Oh, yeah, Queens. Yeah. I agree with that.
That would have been cool. I think a Queens jersey would have been awesome because you see, the Sox went South Side and the Phillies went Brotherly Love and all the things that, they're known for. And Queens doesn't always get a whole lot of love as one of the boroughs, but the Mets right in the middle of Queens. So that would have been cool. Instead of NYC, you keep that same font and you go queens, and then, they incorporate some of the purple. I think that part is really cool. I just wish it said queens.
Is it because it's like the purple for the purple line train that drops off there?
Yes, I believe so. And that's kind of like the color that's associated with the neighborhood of Queens. And that's what I think a lot of Mets fans and Queens residents wanted to see represented a little bit more.
All right, so here's Sanchez. Nice pitch.
Oh boy, Nico.
Neek! Dude, that's how you win a Gold Glove there, man. That is how you do it. I mean, like, the guy is a shortstop playing second base, and he makes so many good plays. And, man, I'm telling you, like, just another one, just being able to get to it up the middle. Michael Busch, nice job at first base. He's getting better and better, too.
Oh, no, Cooper's there.
That's Cooper
today.
over there. That's a nice scoop by Coop.
Yeah, really good from Cooper. And Dansby with a play.
Oh, what you can do, Neek, watch this. I can do this better.
Yeah, they're the best middle infield defensively that you're going to find in baseball. And I think the thing about Nico, and he's probably getting better at just from watching Swanson, I think Dansby Swanson is the best player in the majors at ranging to his right, going away from first on the backhand. And Nico's getting better and better at it just because he has to watch Dansby do it day after day after day. And they're both making highlight reel plays on the double.
Yeah, he also is copying Dansby's haircut. Chris wants to know, what are you guys surprised Canario isn't in there against lefties? I don't know. I'd like to see him in the lineup, but I mean, they went and got Patrick Wisdom, and they're going to put him in the lineup. I mean, you always want to get that guy that you just brought up in there, especially if somebody's hot.
So then just to play devil's advocate, why don't they do that with Canario? Because they bring him up, he starts a game, hits an RBI double, they pull him once, a righty comes into the game, and he hasn't started the last two. Now you get one against a lefty, and he's on the bench again.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's I would have been surprised. I wasn't surprised to see Wisdom in the lineup. The thing that surprised me was Morel at DH and Madrigal at third. Because I get it, Madrigal's a righty too, and you want to get him some at-bats against the lefty, and he hasn't gotten a lot of at-bats so far this year. But Canario, you bring him up to the majors because a guy's injured and you want to replace some of his power. Madrigal's not replacing any of Suzuki's power, so you want Canario in the lineup. The one thing I will say, they do have 2 more games against lefties in this series, so I'm sure we will see Canario, and we might even see him, as a pinch hit later. But I am surprised that he wasn't in the lineup today. Wind blowing out, you got a young guy against a left-handed pitcher, worst team in baseball. That seems like a recipe for success for a guy that you want to, establish himself at the big league level.
Yeah, replay of that play that Hoerner made. That's the power of having a Gold Glove middle infield, is that you can trust your defense and you can get pitch to contacts outs just by going at the batters. So here we got AJ Puck, who's already thrown 21 pitches. And that's a lot of pitches for a guy that's starting his second inning, especially when you know that you're only on like 100 pitch count. And I agree with Marvin. It is good to have too many good players. I mean, that's the whole, the whole deal.
Exactly.
Knowledge Untamed, Bodie. Anyone remember how good of a pinch hitter he is? There's a ground ball out, third base.
Yeah, that's one thing about Bodie. I feel a little bit bad. He signed that contract, and he just rakes in the minor leagues, but it just seems like there's not an avenue to him getting regular playing time. And
I think we just lost Anthony. But yeah, Bodie has power. I don't know. I was surprised that, he's that he hasn't been in there and gotten an opportunity. Madrigal just got hit looked like the shin with a pitch. And as fragile as he is, you wonder if he's going to be all right. And that got him right on his front leg, or right above his shoe. And I know that hurts, man. I mean, like, that was like a perfect shot to the shin. So we're waiting. Anthony will be back. He's got We got some net issues right now. You guys get in the comment section, though, and let's see what Miguel Amaya does. Miguel getting the start behind the plate. The Cubs have Kurt Casale in the minor leagues. They signed Sanchez in the minor leagues. And the better Amaya gets, the more flexibility you're going to have with that catcher spot. And they were pretty clear to him that he was going to have to earn playing time. And I think that's a good thing. But you know what? Since he's got up there, I mean, like, he has stuck. So see if we can get some runs in here. Still 2-0 Cubs, though, in the bottom of the second inning. Let me throw this back up here, too. This will give us a little bit of there we go. This right here. Kind of a look at what we're doing right now. And then I'm going to put the box score back up as well. How about the game tracker? Let's look at the game tracker for a little while. Kind of keep up. And it may be a little ahead or a little behind, just depending on where you're watching. We synchronize our broadcasts at the beginning, but Amaya's up there battling, and Puck's now at 28 pitches. John says he likes Miggy. Look, I do too. I mean, I think he's got work to do, but as he strikes out, I just worry about the calling the game, the managing the pitching staff stuff that Yan Gomes has been so tremendous at. Like, he's just done such a great job of that. Alex talks about his hitting. Miggy's an okay hitter to me. He's got some pop. He'll surprise you. But you're right. I mean, he's got to use the whole field. I don't think he's ever going to hit 30 home runs. So why not just put the ball in play a little bit more? I'm not disagreeing with that. John says, look at that. Is that in the corner? Yes, it is. Come on, Madrigal. On your horse, baby. Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Let's go. Let's go. Get down. Yes. Yes. And it's Nico again. Man, Nico got off to that slow start, and a lot of people were like worried about Nico, like what's going to happen with Nico. Like we had to worry. And honestly, man, Nico just got off to a slow start. I really think that extra inning win that Nico scored from second on the wild pitch, and then and then had the extra innings hit and all that. I think that kind of got him going. So good start. And here's Patrick Wisdom. I'm telling you guys right now, Patrick Wisdom's going deep today. I just think Patrick Wisdom's going deep. You just missed Nico again. You back?
Yes, I'm back. I'm not really sure what happened there, but I was still watching Nico with a nice rip down the line, and I'm with you. I think this seems like a game. Wisdom goes deep, does a little thing around third base.
You're freezing up again. You might want to check your internet. All right, here we go.
High fives, Gary. And
well, you were frozen for all of that. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. You got me?
Yeah, no, just I would say restart your computer or something, or make sure your internet connection's good. I just reboot while we're hanging out. And we'll bring him back on in a second. All right, here we go. So Nico's got 2 hits already. John, I want to address this, John. John was saying that he watches a lot of podcasts and people aren't taking the Cubs seriously. Dude, they weren't taking the Cubs seriously last year either until we got hot right when I was ready to trade everyone. And you guys, if you were with the channel when I started, it was like I was looking, my mouth was watering at what the Cubs could potentially get at the trade deadline last year. But as a fan, not now, let me take my hat off as just a, and wisdom struck out, by the way, inning over. As a person that covers the team and just put my Cubs hat on, when the Cubs started winning, I was like glad that they went all in, because I think it helps you this year. I think it helps you basically build to the future to be in one of those pennant chases. But to be perfectly honest with you, I started the channel and I was thinking, like, we're gonna be able to trade Bellinger, and we're gonna be able to trade probably Hendricks, and we're gonna be able to get so much last year at the deadline. And it was the other way around. We're the ones that traded. We traded DJ Hers to the Nationals, and I think he's eventually going to be a big league starter. And I've talked to you guys a lot about Nelson Velasquez, and I get messages, "Hey, stop talking about it." Look, I'm going to talk about it. I mean, I don't think it was a good trade for Quas. And I think the guy has the potential to hit 40 home runs. And when you're around the organization, everybody says that, like, quietly, like, "Man, I don't know why I did this deal, or this one's going to come back to bite us." And it's just because he's a really good player. With that said, that's part of the cost of doing business. Like when you make deals and you work in this to try to win a championship, you got to give up stuff to get stuff. And that was certainly the case. But he's a great player. So, and here's Jordan talking about it. He didn't really get a chance, though. And I mean, like, I get it. Like, we had, I think he can hit 40 home runs. We had Seiya Suzuki, but you know what? The reason you keep those guys around is, guess what we don't have right now? We don't have Seiya Suzuki right now. For the second straight year, he's on the IL for an extended period of time. And it's why he wasn't in the conversation a year ago for, for the MVP, because when he plays, he's awesome. And I love the guy. But you got to have those players for insurance. And that's what it's all about, man. So, whatever. I mean, it is what it is. 3-0 game. Top of the third. Jamison Tyion facing Nick Gordon. Saw Nick Gordon, fast guy, kind of table setter type dude. And the bottom just fell out of that last pitch. I talked to Tyion a couple weeks ago. I'm going to tell you guys, he's a really nice guy. Big NFL guy, easy going, nice guy. And he's the person that you cheer for. And I know that there's a lot of talk right now about Kyle Hendricks. I get it. Like, he's been terrible. I mean, there's no other way to put it. Hey, thanks, man. There's the ring. And look, I'm going to say this. I'm going to hold my thought and say this, guys. I got an interview with Cade Horton, and I got one coming up with Matt Shaw, and I'm going to put them on the channels, probably do Cade on Sunday, and then probably do Shaw maybe early next week, just because we have a doubleheader tomorrow, and I don't want to waste that content. So I'm going to throw that out soon, though. And I got him talking about our rings, so you'll be able to check that out. But you got to keep those kind of guys, because now it's like, well, we don't really have a right fielder anymore. Not a right fielder that comes in with the same punch that Velasquez comes in with. So, all right, there he is again. Hopefully you reboot it and you're ready to go. We're talking about the NL Central podcasts not taking the Cubs seriously. And I got to tell you, man, I felt like this last year, but this team takes itself seriously. And I think that matters, man, because they expect to go out there and win.
Absolutely. Just before I continue, I want to check. Do you have me good? Do I sound all right?
You sound good. Yeah.
All right, perfect. Thank you, John. Welcome back. So yeah, I think this team is the best team in the division by far. I think they have the best manager. I think they have the best offense. I think bullpen is probably where other teams make up some ground, but there isn't a team in this division that scares me more than playing the Cubs in a 4, 5, 7 game series would scare me.
Ha! Sorry, we just got a strikeout there. Everybody at home, you got to do your strike 3 with me. Right, we were practicing yesterday, like what our strike 3 would look like.
I like the guys that go super high and then super low.
Okay,
like,
you can do that.
Ah!
You got like this, like
Pretty much just karate.
there's a strike. You can do that too. 3-0. Tyion has looked fantastic, and so far, I mean, we're still early, but in his debut for the season with the Cubs, year 2 of this 4-year contract.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too with Tyion. You want him to go as deep as you can because you have a bullpen. Obviously got a day off yesterday, but the day off kind of doesn't really count because tomorrow you got 2 games that you need to fill. So you want this bullpen to be as rested as possible.
Oh, good. Okay, I love this. I love this right here. He says we're perfectly synced with this stream. What we'll do, I guess what we should do is instead of doing our sync, like with it's just us off the air, we should next time let's just do our sync together.
That could work.
Just because everybody else can kind of be synced up with us. But I love hearing that.
Good pitch.
I was telling them that I've got Shaw coming up and I've got an interview with Kate Horton. Chris says, I heard an interview with Shaw. He seems like a smart kid with great baseball knowledge and instincts, very mature for his age. Yeah, look, I've talked to him like off the air, like just talking, and I get that sense too. But watching him play, the dude is like mentally, he's where you want him.
Yeah,
he's
got big league makeup at such a young age, and I think that's part of why the Cubs have continued to draft college hitters because they have a little bit of that maturing that they get to do in college instead of selecting guys straight from high school. But he's a guy who dominated in the Big Ten at Maryland, and obviously I think he played mostly shortstop in college, but moved to third, and that seems to be his position that he's gonna come knocking on the door at soon.
Here we go. Stay fair and catch it. That's going to be out of play. Tom says, do you ever hang out with the Locked On Cubs guys? No, but I'll tell you what, if they like to drink beer and eat hot dogs, then you know what? Maybe we can do that sometime. I'd love that. I mean, we'd probably have a lot to talk about, just doing shows and stuff. But
I don't know Matt, but Sam I follow on social media, and he's very active. We tend to agree on a lot of things Cubs as well.
You know what? I don't look at the YouTube shows as competition. I think the more content that we put out that's good, the more people will come to YouTube looking for Cubs content.
For sure.
And I know that like when I first started, I would get messages sometimes and it'd be like, yeah, you're all right, but we listen to Locked On, and it's like, well, listen to Locked On, just listen to us too.
Yeah.
Like you can do 2 Cubs shows in one day. I don't want to have their perspective, and that's why I don't watch them. And it's Vince Scully used to talk about watering your wine. I love David Kaplan, right? But I don't watch Cap a lot because I don't want to take his opinions on my show. I want to watch the Cubs and kind of have my own, like my own opinions. There we go, little ground ball to Nico. And I'm sure they're probably the same way, like what makes all of us good is that we come in with our own, our own take on different things.
Yeah, I think that's super important. Like you don't want, unless you consume all of it, like, the Locked On and CHGO and Cap and then Marquee and everything, which nobody has the time to consume all of that. You want to be able to form your own opinion so that when they come and watch us, it's different from watching Cap or different from watching Locked On.
All right, here's a great one right here. He says, I have Gordon. He's talking about Gordon Wittenmeyer, I think, right? Am I going to have Gordon Wittenmeyer on again? Gordon and I have been friends for a long time, right? I mean, I like Gordon. I don't always agree with Gordon's takes. he can be a little bit of a hitman in his columns, and now he covers the Reds, but he's on with he still does the Cubs he does the Cubs with Cap. But yeah, I mean, I'm sure we'll have Gordon on. When I'm in the car and it's like I've got like the last couple times I've driven to the Florida Keys during like my vacation, and I like to drive there because I think I told you I go by and see Father Carl and at his church, his church in Boca, and I like to see my uncle in Tampa, so I think I like having my car in the Keys. So I like to drive, and I'll call Gordon, and it's like, he's he'll, if you think he's crazy on air or what he writes, think about him off air. Becky says, do you guys like Boog? I'll tell you this about Boog. He's a nice guy off the air. I think we have very different styles of broadcasting. But he's always been really nice guy to me, so, I mean, I know that, that he's kind of into his thing and I'm into mine when it comes to our styles. I'm more of a Harry Carey type broadcaster, but as a person, he's a nice guy. I'll tell you that. He really is.
Yeah. I've only met him in passing.
Can Father Carl hit a curveball? You ever watch the movie Major League? That's
me.
Yeah, that's can Jesus Christ hit a curveball? All right, here's Cody Bellinger with the Cubs up 3-0 in the bottom of the third. AJ Puck, 40 pitches now, 1-1 count. Just kind of updating you.
Yeah, Boog's a guy. I've only met him a few times, and it's all been in passing, but he's been a super nice guy every time I've gotten a chance to talk to him. And I think it's super admirable how passionate he is about all the work he does with ALS. And he's super, super into like the stats and the metrics. And there's not a lot of guys out there that are his age and that way. So I think that's cool. He's a really good, and I see the comment down there as well, a really good national broadcaster. He does great work for ESPN on the radio, covers a lot of their huge games, Sunday Night Baseball, playoffs. So he's, definitely a really good guy. Oh man, don't we all?
Yeah, I miss Ron Santo. I think I told you guys my Ron Santo story last pod. Didn't I say it last time we were on here?
Well, there's a chance we got some different people. You could say it again.
2010, I knew Ronnie from being around the Cubs, but Bellinger, get in there, baby, get in there. Yeah, base hit. Belly leads off with a knock. Let's go.
Love it.
2010, I get to Wrigley and right at the end of the season, and I see Ronnie, and he puts his arm around me, and he's like, "How you been?" And I'm like, "Man, like the Smokies had lost the championship series, and we should have won. We're the better team, but we didn't win." And he puts his arm around me, takes me into the corner of the Cubs dugout, and he's like, and I went to school at Alabama, at the University of Alabama. I'm originally from Baltimore. I started watching the Cubs on WGN, I think like a lot of us, right, that weren't from Chicago, but just fell in love with the city, obviously being around the organization and get to do the spring training games for so many years on Cubs.com, and he was awesome. I mean, he was just a great guy. What you see is what you get. I try to be that way. He was that way. So he's like, "Hey, Billy's a big Alabama fan." And I'm like, "Billy Williams?" And he's like, "Do you know Billy?" And I'm like, "No." He's like, "Billy, come here." And Billy's like, so now it's Billy Williams, me and him in the corner of the dugout, like kind of like just roped ourselves off. And we're just talking about baseball and life and stuff. Great guy, man. Great guy.
Yeah, he was my dad's favorite player growing up. And I obviously only remember him as an announcer, but I used to wait after the game and try to get autographs from players. And I remember seeing him leaving one time, and he was far away, but he took the time to wave and say, "Go Cubs." And, he just seemed like such a nice guy.
All right. I'm going to get into this here in a second, but let's see what Morel does. We got a runner at first and a 3-2 count, and Morel grounded into a double play his last time up.
I think one of the best Ron Santos stories is when I think, was it Brant Brown that dropped the ball?
Yeah. He was like, "Oh no."
And after the game, the manager was consoling Ronnie instead of the other way around.
Yeah. He loved, man. I'll tell you, Man, I kind of could be that way too. Not quite like him, but man, I totally got it. I could turn the game on when he was calling them, and I could tell if the Cubs are winning or losing just by the way that his voice was. All right, so runners at first and second. Morel walks this time, made puck throw strikes, couldn't do it, and they're going to visit the mound. He's already at 50 pitches. First Last asks this question: think Dawson will ever get his plaque changed, right? First off, I know the Hawk. I love the Hawk. You know, you guys love the Hawk too. I don't think that it's fair that he doesn't get to decide who his plaque is, because when he was in Montreal and Florida, you know, it wasn't the same as when he was a Cub. He became a legend as a Cub. He was a great player, but he became the guy as a Cub, and it was Billy Williams on the and Ron Santo and all of those, or excuse me, Billy Williams and Rhino and those guys that pushed really hard for him to get into the Hall of Fame. You know, he's just a Cub. Like, I'm sorry, you know, and we talk about this with Marquee. You know, some people they put on and they played like a little bit for the Cubs, but they don't really feel like Cubs. Andre Dawson played for other teams, but I'm telling you, the guy's a Cub. He should have his plaque. The Hall of Fame should let him put that Cub C on his uniform. Montreal doesn't even have a team anymore. So I hope it happens.
Does he? So I have a question, and I think maybe I'm misinformed on this, but I thought he couldn't decide between Montreal and Chicago initially and just put the MLB logo, and then he changed his mind.
No, like the Hall of Fame made a rule because some teams were paying players to basically put their hat on. Dansby's up right now, 2 balls and a strike, and it feels like the Cubs are about to just they're about to fillet the fish. I'll just put it like that. And hey, man, thank you for the compliment. You know, I used to do stuff with CSN Chicago. You guys probably know that. And I had so much fun over there talking baseball. I remember doing an interview with Chris Bryant, and it got like 1 million views for them or something, you know, back when like digital media first started. It was so hard to like do it. Now with your phone, you know, you can film, edit, send, and it takes like literally 5 minutes, you know. This is such a big at bat right here. I mean, maybe not, but in a way it is, because if you gap it, you score a couple runs, and this dude's gone. His day's over. Like, they're pulling him out, and now you're in their bullpen, and you got a doubleheader tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? Like, you want to force them to use pitchers today.
KO Sports Talk with a funny comment here. Miami's pitcher is named AJ Puck, but he's making his manager puke right now.
Yeah, you know, his manager, Skip Schumacher, was a Cardinal, right? And he was a pretty good player, and he was the manager of the year last season, right? And they got rid of the GM. The GM, they hired somebody over the GM, Kim Ning, I think is her name, and then he like opted out of his like option. You know, like he could have had an option that I think it was his option. There we go. Ball 4, bases loaded. And so I think he was upset about the front office, and basically they were looking at the way that things went last year, and they were like 30 something and 14 in 1-run games. And the guy that was in charge is like looking at it, and he's going, our analytics tell us that this team overperformed, right? And so they started to make moves on the roster and everything, and look at where they are right now. All right, bases loaded. Can Hap hit another grand slam?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think we all remember what happened the last time he came up with bases loaded. Dumped that granny into the corner on another right-handed at-bat for him. So we'll see if he can keep the power up from the right side of the plate here.
John, I do get up there for games. It's just around my schedule. But I was thinking about this. Anthony and I were talking about this, doing the show from some of our Wrigley Field bars. You know, I'm friends with Billy, who owns the country club. And then when I was there last time, almost home, I hung out with the owner there. He's like, hey, man, come do your show here. And then, Anthony, you got some friends, too, that own bars in Wrigleyville.
Yeah, I'm good friends with Tim Dillman, who owns Bernie's. So I feel like that could be an interesting spot, too, right off on Waveland there. So we got a lot of options if that's something you guys would enjoy doing a little show from one of those bars.
You like to drink beer. I like to drink beer. And the best thing about this being this is that you can drink beer and do this. Like it's like the Harry Carey days. But it would be fun to like get a bunch of us together and maybe if the Cubs are on the road. All right, so Hap just struck out. Not good at bat there. Do you like him better as a righty or a lefty, or does it matter to you?
Lefty. I sometimes forget that he hits righty sometimes. I think he's a much better hitter lefty. I feel like he's got a better eye lefty. Righty, it seems like he chases a little bit.
All right, here's Cooper.
Yeah, big spot for Cooper.
I was wondering like what the move was going to be. When they're going to do moves, I always try to figure out what they are, and I want to pop on and do a video about the move if I can. And I was like, now you got Patrick Wisdom and Garrett Cooper. I mean, it's kind of the same guy, right? But
yeah, it's similar to having Mastroboni and Madrigal, close to the same guy. But I think Cooper and Wisdom's threat at the plate was enough for them to keep both of them.
This is like, let's get some runs, man.
Yeah, you can't go back to the dugout with the score 3-0.
And even ahead 3-0, I mean, you feel good about it. But when you miss opportunities like this, Wrigley Field always has played small, I guess, unless the wind's blowing in. But over the years, I mean, 3 runs there doesn't ever feel safe to me.
3 runs with this bullpen doesn't feel safe.
No, I know. Don't remind me.
Get down.
All right, here we go.
It is.
Bloop, bloop, bloop.
Little Flair City.
I'll take it, man. Those are the ones that kill you, too. It's 4-0 now. Cooper bloop single. Base is still loaded. It's one of those things like you make a good pitch, you saw him off, and he hits it in the center field, but you just can't catch it. So Coop knocks one in. Looking at the replay, I mean, it wasn't a bad pitch.
No, and it was exactly the result you want. Weak contact. It's just you hope it's on the ground so you can turn 2. Instead, muscles it out into no man's land, and the Cubs get another run.
All right, so here we go. Who's this, Madrigal? Double play Madrigal. Does the guy hit into more double plays than anybody? All right, he's safe this time. So he
sure seems like he does, but
yeah. Somebody in the comment section was like, Mick, I like Madrigal, but he always hits into a double play. And they're right. Like he always does hit into the double play, but he didn't hit into it this time. He tried to hit into it and didn't,
Yeah, and see, like this is the guy that is in the lineup instead of Alexander Canario today, and you can't tell me that you'd rather have this guy up with the bases loaded.
He's a contact hitter, but the problem is it's a lot of weak contact.
He's a contact hitter that can't get the ball out of the infield, so that's just a bad hitter.
All right, here's Amaya. 2 outs, another productive inning, and he just smoked one to deep center.
Go!
Get out. No way. Oh, yeah!
Send everybody.
Everybody. There's Madrigal running around. Slow it up, man. Slow it up. We got this. Amaya just stung it. It's 7-0 Cubs right now. How about that? That's what you do to bad teams, man. You jump all over them.
Absolutely. It's what you have to do. Amaya with a 2-run double there.
Sorry, throw your graphic back up. Oh, man. What do you think? I guess that's it for Puck, right? And you get into their bullpen, or if you're the Marlins, I mean, I guess you just leave him out there because you got that doubleheader tomorrow.
Yeah, you need him to go as far as he can, and that brings up Nico, who's having a great afternoon so far. He's 2 for 2 with 2 doubles. He's also got a run and an RBI. Following Amaya. If he could get a third double here, bang it up to 8-0, you got to be feeling good about it.
I'm feeling pretty good about it right now.
I am too. A touchdown lead against Miami, you got to feel good about it.
There's nothing better to me than I probably said this last time. Oh, Nico just got into one. That's going to hang up there. And Chisholm makes the catch. How about that glove? it's pink and blue, like the Marlins pink and blue, like
Yeah.
that flashy Miami pink and blue. But 7-zip Cubs. Man. Yeah, that's a score the Bears would be happy with.
Yeah. Offense came to play today. Let's check back into the parlay of the day real quick.
Yeah, see where you're at.
So Hoerner's got the hit. Cubs -1.5 looks and feels pretty good. The alt over 8.5, the Cubs have just about covered through 3 innings. Just need Morel to get an extra base hit. He had an out and a walk so far. He's the guy we got to keep an eye on for this parlay.
What would if you hit that, it's plus 490. So
if you did I'm trying to think, like $10 would get you 49.
Hey, that's not too shabby. It's
Not too
fun.
shabby.
And you can go do that right at Wrigley Field. Maybe that's where we need to go do the show.
Yeah, do a live show from the DraftKings Sportsbook. Have any of you guys, I've been there one time, but I got there late, and it was the game that Hendricks and then Ben Brown pitched in Texas.
Oh, yeah.
So it definitely wasn't betting on the Cubs that day. So I didn't get a chance to place any wagers on the Cubs, but I'm curious if any of you guys have been there, and if you've enjoyed it, if you like the atmosphere. It wasn't very crowded when I went. It was kind of rainy that day. But what do you guys think of the DraftKings Sports Bar if you've been?
No, I walked by it when I was there a couple weeks ago. I didn't really get a chance. There were no games.
Yeah.
But the Cubs were off anyway. But it shows you where we are right now in the sport. I mean, Pete Rose got banned, and look, Pete Rose bet on baseball and bet on his own team. So, I mean, I'm not making an excuse up for him, but Rhino changed my view on Pete Rose when he told me that Pete Rose belonged in the Hall of Fame in his opinion. I mean, he told me that right after he got back from the Hall of Fame in 2009. And I figured, look, if he played against Pete Rose and he thinks he belongs in there, I mean, he'd be a better judge of that than me. But now it's to the point where you literally have a sports book in the stadium.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It's insane. And it's kind of indicative of society's willingness to just make money whenever they can. And that's like an opportunity that gambling presents itself for sure. But John brings up the guy from the NBA that got banned for life. Did you hear about that?
No.
His name is Jonte Porter. He's kind of a no-name player. He's Michael Porter Jr.'s brother. Michael Porter Jr. obviously won a championship with the Nuggets.
Yeah.
And so he was they started investigating him because he would start these games when somebody was hurt.
One out. All right, keep going.
And his over-under would be set at 8.5 points, and he'd play 4 minutes and start holding his eye like he got poked in the eye, and he'd exit. And then DraftKings or FanDuel the next day would be Jonte Porter under was the most bet player prop. So everybody thought he was colluding. And they investigated, and I guess they ended up finding out that, he was betting on himself.
No way.
In his unders, and he's banned from the NBA now.
Did this just happen?
Yeah, within the last week or so. And I'm
Really?
not sure if it was kind of similar. I think some of the reports showed that he was gambling, but potentially not on himself. But either way, it's illegal for NBA players to do that. So, either way, whatever the investigation showed, they ended up banning him. And all of those speculations, I think, ended up having some validity to it.
That is incredible, man.
Yeah, it's nuts.
God, that is crazy. You would think that even the league minimum pays you enough where you don't have to do that stuff.
Yeah, I think it's just knowing that you could profit off of it. But again, you're making more than enough money to be all right.
What about Shohei Ohtani? The FBI is basically, the government's backing him, saying that his interpreter didn't know that he was stealing money and gambling. And
yeah, and I looked into it. Some of the numbers, the interpreter was betting
uh-oh.
Shutout no longer.
Yeah, there's one back. There's your boy De La Cruz.
We're talking about his power.
Tomahawk, man. That was a tomahawk. It was up in the zone. Did you see where the Dodgers were playing the Padres and the guy that caught the Machado home run, and he was all Dodgers gear, and then he he caught the ball and then reached in his pocket, pulled out another baseball and threw it and kept the home run ball. Did you see that? And then they caught him.
No,
like
I didn't. That's
Sunday?
funny.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
That's good stuff.
We don't do that at Wrigley. We just don't want that particular baseball.
Yeah, like for me, I've never caught a home run ball, and part of me would really want it if I caught one. So I think I just have to hope that I catch a Cubs homer because there's no way I'm not launching that thing. And I think I would probably try to throw it as far onto the field as I could, like get it to roll toward the infield or something. I remember there was one at Fenway. Giancarlo homered over the monster, and the guy who caught it threw it back so fast and obviously from such a high point from the monster that it hit Giancarlo when he was rounding the bases.
Oh my goodness. Here's another shot into the corner. So that's Chisholm.
Jazz with the double there.
Yeah, Tyon's they're second time through. I mean, they're seeing him.
Yeah, 3 really good innings. And now in this 4th, he's given up some contact.
What's
Just
his
one out?
What's his
Hopefully he
pitch
can get
count
out of
at?
this.
I got to see this because I think they brought him up a little early because they needed him. I think that it would have been better probably to have one more outing, but because it was like he only did 2 rehabs, right? Tyon's limit is probably, is it 100 pitches today? So
I would guess less.
Yeah, I would too, because he didn't get anywhere close to 100. What did he have, like 60 some pitches?
Most, I think
it was like 68, right?
Yeah, that's what the start in Tennessee was 68. I want to say.
No. He did Iowa second, and that one was like
68. That one was 68.
Yeah, he only went like 40, 50 pitches maybe. And
that's what he's at right now. He's at 49. This next pitch is going to be 50. You'd like to hopefully get through the 5th and maybe the 6th, but I don't think anything more than 75 we're going to see. 80 probably tops. And that is a good point from John. He is pitching with a big lead now, so he's probably a little more willing to give up some contact.
Yeah.
Obviously, you'd rather it be right at your fielders instead of in the seats and right down the line. But, you said on the last Friday watch party that Greg Maddux told you the other team, if you score 7, the other team can score 6 and you could still win.
Yeah. He actually said something that was really interesting in an article recently too. There's a ground ball to Coop. There you go. 2 outs. 2 outs, everybody. 2 outs. Chisholm slips over to third. He was talking about all of the arm injuries, and he was like, you should worry about getting outs instead of getting strikeouts. I agree. And basically he was saying it's not the pitch clock that's causing injuries. He's saying that it's the fact that we're teaching these guys that they have to strike everybody out and how hard they can throw instead of just getting outs.
Yeah, and the problem is that, colleges that are recruiting high school kids aren't looking for the kids that, go 7 innings. They're looking for the kids that, throw 85 and the kids that throw nasty sliders. But when you're teaching these kids to do that at 14, 15 years old, there's no wonder these guys are getting 1, 2, 3 arm surgeries by the time they're 25. They're putting so much pressure on their arm. And the fact of the matter is they're still walking guys and giving up runs because they can't pitch. They can throw. Like, you got to go back to the teaching how to pitch, not teaching how to spin the ball, teaching how to throw hard, teach how to get outs. That's what you need from pitchers.
And I hear like guys like that talk about like spin rates and shapes and velo. Some of those guys don't know baseball. They so badly want to sound like these analytic machines, but baseball is about winning. It's not that's a small part of it, right? But the big part of it is going out there and getting outs and having one more run than the other team. Nice. And you're right. I did learn that from Maddux. And look, all of those pitches. And you were talking. I wanted to interrupt you and say he's bouncing this next one up there because Sanchez kept just going after that changeup. Like he's going to strike out on a pitch in the dirt, and that's exactly what happened. All right. Yeah. The nerds have it in their heads. A strikeout is more valuable because it takes defense uncertainty out of the equation 100%. The problem is that all these guys are hurt. And did you see where the Pirates have is it Paul Skeens?
Yeah, Paul Skeens, they picked him out of
out of LSU. But
right.
The Cubs do this too. And the Cubs are the worst at allowing starting pitching to pitch, right? Because they have the lowest amount of innings from their starters. And that's something that's organizational. I don't think it's by mistake. I think it's by design. Skeens is getting that treatment for the Pirates. And he's just like, finally, he's like, it's frustrating, Like he wants to get to the big leagues and pitch and throw that, doesn't want to waste those bullets in the minor leagues. But they're forcing him to do that because of the fact that you're so afraid of getting someone hurt. And the analytics guys are like, well, you're going to get him hurt if you got there. I don't know, man. Fergie Jenkins pitched a lot of innings and he wasn't hurt. Greg Maddux threw a lot of innings and he didn't get hurt a lot, They're not, those guys could have probably tried to go up there and with someone, Tim Wilkin, who you guys know from the MLB Baseball Scout podcast on here, calls it gorilla ball, where you get out there and just try to huff the ball by everybody, and at the end of the day, we're in a spot right now where this is the way that we do it, right? This is what we're in right now, where we've got guys that, didn't play a lot of baseball, that are more, from Harvard and some of these like big time Ivy League colleges. And they're saying, hey, this is the way you win is analytics and this and that. It's going to end up going back to where the way you win is by throwing strikes, keeping the ball down, getting contact outs, winning baseball games, right? And winning baseball games to me comes down to having one more run than the other team. And we make it a lot more complex than it needs to be.
Yeah, Mick, I think you nailed that. And one of the big things in there, as Wisdom steps up to the plate, new pitcher in for Miami, Cronin, I believe is his name.
Yeah.
As
Devin Cronin?
Yes,
Declan. Declan.
But yeah, you mentioned like they're not getting hurt because of the pitch clock. They're not getting hurt because of all these innings that they have to throw. They're getting hurt because they're emphasizing on things that the human body isn't made to do. Like the natural way to throw anything is underhand. So you're already starting throwing overhand. Now you're spinning it more than your body's used to, trying to throw it as hard as you possibly can. That's why these guys are getting hurt, and they're doing it at such a young age. But you're talking about Skeens. At LSU, he was going 100, 110, 120 pitches. He was a workhorse for them. Now you get into the minor leagues, and they're teaching you to empty the tank for 60 pitches, to throw 4 innings and strike out 8 guys, to go through the batting order twice. How do you expect that guy when he gets to the big leagues to go 7, 8 innings and 100 pitches if the minor league is conditioning his arm to only max out at 60, 70 pitches?
And you know what? I want to remind you guys about the Cade Horton interview that I'm going to post Sunday, because I asked him that same question. I'm not going to tell you what he said. You're going to have to watch it to find out. But I asked him that.
About how they condition the arms in the minor leagues?
Well, like about the pitch, the restrictions.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I'm also very interested to see what he says. I can't wait to watch.
And Randy Johnson did throw 200 miles an hour. Ask John Kruk.
Yeah, with crazy sidearm torque and everything, but he was fine, and he could go 110, 120 pitches.
All right, here you go. Pull your bet up. Here's Morel again. You need Morel to hit to get an extra base hit.
I need him. It could be 2 singles, but
he's got to have 2 hits.
No, it could be a double. Like a double works as 1.5 bases.
Oh, it's one. Okay, I didn't see that bases. Okay, yeah. So he just needs an extra base hit.
Yes,
and then the Cubs need to win, and you got the over 8.5.
Yeah, I need one more run for the over. So a home run would make everything look good.
You should. Did you bet this, or was this
I
just?
Did.
You
I
did?
This.
Okay. So we can all win. Oh, look at this. Hey, I'm Irish descent. Gillispie here.
Hey, boy, Morel, there's a hit.
Hey, you're halfway there.
Halfway.
hey, love. We're at in Ireland, Casey. I met a cricket guy that was. My name's Gillispie, and he was visiting ballparks in America years ago, maybe like 5 years ago. And I'm like, yeah, I'm Gillispie. I know heritage is from there. And he was like, yeah, there's a lot of Gillespies that play cricket.
I think Miami's going to challenge it, take it off the board.
Did it look like he was out? He's out.
It looked like it was just barely in the glove.
You're not. They're gonna take it away from you.
We're toast, but it's only the 4th inning. A lot of time left. And Morel's the DH today.
Oh, he says up north. You're right. It is up north. It is up north on the coast up there, from what I understand. Well, pass the Gillispie love from here to there. I know my name's spelled a little different, but originally it was spelled Gille, and they changed it for some reason. I think
I know a lot of Gillespies too.
Catholic? Are they Catholic Irish like you?
Yeah.
You know them from church, from mass? All right, he's out.
I think that's the inning. Then.
All right, so you were there, and then you lost it.
Yeah. But like I said, only the 4th. He should bat at least 2, maybe 3 more times. So you got to feel good about your chances.
How about the Marlins? Like, how about they made the playoffs last year, right? And they were so good last year, and then for them to start like this, it's kind of unbelievable. And they were the team I just didn't think that the Cubs were going to lose to. And then obviously the Cubs had that, they fell apart in the postseason. But guys, can you imagine having this kind of start?
Yeah,
and they look flat too.
Super flat. The pitching staff was supposed to be like the part of the Marlins that was supposed to take, a big next step. And I even remember back in 2020 when the Cubs won the division and got swept by the Marlins in the COVID playoffs. Everybody was talking about, is this Marlins rotation going to be the next great rotation in baseball? And they just haven't panned out. Luzardo is a guy that I think many people thought was going to take a huge step. Sixto Sanchez has struggled to get back to the big leagues. And they have all these guys that, were supposed to be these big arms. And Kim Ng was kind of designing this team to just pitch you to death. And they just haven't done that. And offensively, they have a lot of guys that have struggled or are coming off of huge struggles. Like Tim Anderson is a guy that is coming off probably 2 of his worst seasons as a pro, and he's a big focal part of this offense. And I am surprised at how, not to sugarcoat it, I'm surprised how bad the Marlins have been.
Yeah.
Here's a question I got for you, Mick, about Nico and kind of the Cubs as a whole. Do the Cubs need to steal more bases? They're a team that ran a lot last year. Nico kind of spearheading that. But, Dansby ran a little. Cody Bellinger had almost 20 steals last year. Do the Cubs need to steal more bases?
I don't know. I hate when guys get thrown out. So, I mean, if you go, you got to be successful, right? I mean, you get thrown out in an inning, and most of the time you're talking about a flat inning, right? So, to me, I think, it can be an asset if you have the right people running. But I don't know, man. I'm not a big running game guy when it comes to, and like I said, unless you got guys that are going to get there.
Okay, I'm a little different. I like that aspect of baseball. I like moving the guys. I like hitting runs. I like kind of stealing a run if you can.
Like that old Cardinals baseball. There's Anderson just flew out, so
and we saw it a little bit
one down.
The road trip with Nico. He got the single, or Dansby the other day got the single, the infield single, stole second, scored on a hit, and probably a run that shouldn't have been on the board, but he hustled, stole second, and gets rewarded with, scoring a run, or Nico scoring from second on that pass ball. I think you can kind of use base running to your advantage, and on a team that's supposed to be built for contact and walks and getting on base, I think it's something I'm surprised the Cubs aren't doing more.
Here's David Snyder's loves the lineup, likes Wisdom batting second, Cooper at first. That's the platoon at first base is actually a really good idea with Bush and Coop.
Yeah, I
Coop's a former Marlin too. Don't forget that.
Yeah, I don't think this lineup has been like some sort of godsend. I was surprised to see Wisdom in the 2-hole. I'm not trying to discredit Counsell. I think he's been great so far. And I think a lot of his platoon choices, Hoerner and Happ with leadoff against lefty righty, Cooper and Bush at first, even though Bush, is really emerging as that starting first baseman. Madrigal, when, you have a guy that induces a lot of ground balls at third. He makes a lot of the right choices. Not trying to harp on it, but I'm just really surprised Alexander Canario is not a part of this lineup today. And I think that's something that Ross took a lot of flack for. The Cubs bringing up a guy, a prospect in Canario that many are excited to see, and then he just isn't in the lineup on a daily basis. And we saw it last year with Velasquez too, as well as Canario and Pete Crow toward the end of the year. And that's something I'm a little surprised by. This is an interesting one. What do you think of Happ in the 2-hole behind Hoerner?
Yeah,
until Thea gets back.
Yeah, I just don't like him in the 3-hole.
3 and 4 are not places for you.
No, you know what? I get a lot of it just depends on. There we go. Coop's been a vacuum over at first, and he takes care of that one.
Yeah, we said the Coop bloop on his hit. You got the Coop scoop in the field.
I do like the way that Happ's been playing. Even when he was struggling, he was still getting on base. I don't know. I don't think he's, in my mind, he's not an all-star player, but he's a good player. And I liked him at leadoff. I just think he gives you a lot of different looks with the switch hitting and the walks. But we haven't had like a leadoff guy since Dexter Fowler. You know what I mean? Like Juan Pierre. Remember Juan Pierre?
Yeah, Juan Pierre was one of my first favorite Cubs. I love that guy.
It just seems like we just throw guys in that spot.
Yeah, I've written articles on Cubs HQ before about like just the long list of names that they've tried. John Jay, Albert Almora, Kyle Schwarber, Contreras, Rizzo, Bodie, Jock. Everybody has hit leadoff for this team before. And they haven't found the one guy that has really worked. Happ is one that seems relatively successful, but that's something they've tried before, and obviously it didn't work out. And Rizzo's another one that had some success, but is better at a different part of your lineup. Soler's a guy that ended up leading off in the playoffs for the Braves.
Those seem like the when you put like the Schwarbers and the Rizzos at the top of the lineup, that just seems like so, it just seems like, what's the best word for this? I just don't think they're legitimate leadoff guys. I think it's just kind of like one of these analytic fad type things. Having a real leadoff hitter is having a guy that's going to go up there and spoil pitches, who is going to get on base and have speed. I think that still plays.
Yeah, I agree. But I also think like there has to be some type of like credit to be given to a team like the Phillies that keeps Schwarber in the leadoff hole and he hits 40 homers a year and they go to the playoffs and contend for World Series with that lineup.
So we got a runner at second now. No, runner at first with 2 outs. Hey, look, Tyion, he's at 72 pitches right now. So I'm guessing that he's kind of if we get him through 5, I'd be happy. And thank you for the help there.
It's nonsensical. All right, well, it looks like he's going to be through 5.
There we go. Who wants it? Nico. That's what I'm talking about, baby. What a good game so far. Got the early runs, kind of like jumped on them early. Got the pitching. Oh, you know what? We're going to. I'm trying to get us to the top of the 6th. I need to get us to the bottom of the 5th.
And that's we see some of the people in the comments talking about other leadoffs. Leadoff is a different job than the 2-hole and the 3-hole. You want someone who can get deep in at bats, yes. And that's why Ian Happ is a guy that they put up there. The other part of the role is you want a guy that has some speed and can affect things on the base paths. That's why you put Nico up there. If you were to mix those two players, I think you'd have a prototypical perfect leadoff man.
But I guess to me, I think Nico's fast and stuff, but I don't think it's that. I don't look at him as like, like a speed burner,
He stole 40 bases last year.
Wow. Did he really?
Yeah. He was the first Cub since, we'll let the comments say it. Who was the last Cub to steal over 40 bases? And I promise I'll give some time for an answer this time, Mick.
Okay. The last Cub to steal 40 bases. Ooh. Could be Juan Pierre. Tony Campana, I don't think he stole.
He didn't play enough, I don't think.
He didn't play enough, but man, he was fast. I mean, you talk about dude.
He was
run.
lightning.
Wow,
I love
he
that
was
guy.
so fast. Me too. I did too. Remember that inside the park home run he had?
I was just thinking about that. Yes,
Yeah.
I do.
Like if anybody made a mistake on him, like if he hit the ball somewhere and anyone made a mistake, he was just going to blow right by you. I'm going to say it has maybe Juan Pierre is the answer. I don't know.
When I was a little kid, I used to go to Cubs games and try to get autographs afterward. I met Tony Campana one time and I asked him, because I was a young baseball player at the time, I was like, how do you run so fast and slide so good? And he was like, well, you just run fast and slide good.
I know Tony. I've always liked him, man. He's a good dude off the field too.
Well, we see some answers coming in.
There's no chance Rhino stole 40
Bobby
bases.
Denier, Rhino. Nice piece of hitting from Nico, or from Dansby, excuse me.
Dansby, let's go. Starting the bottom of the 5th off with a knock.
So the correct answer is Juan Pierre.
I said that.
2006, he stole 58 bags.
Yeah. See, I mean, if you give me time to think, I'm going to be pretty close. We just don't run a lot. We never really have ran a lot. And he was the last guy that I can think of that, that has that blazing speed.
Yeah.
They just put a graphic up there. They said that the Tennessee Smokies are the 3rd most talented team and the Iowa Cubs are number 9. That's Baseball America. MLB Pipeline said that the Smokies were the 2nd most talented team.
Wow, gotta love that.
Iowa number 10. So you got 2 Cubs teams, most talented, but all that talent seems to stay in the minor leagues.
Yeah, it does feel that way. All right, I'm going to come up with another Cubs trivia question.
Do you ever go to trivia night? Do you guys ever go to trivia night, like at the bar?
I have before.
I would love to go to a Cubs trivia night.
Oh, a Cubs one? That would be a ton of fun.
What if we put like a Cubs baseball channel watch team together? So there's Hap right now. 7-1 Cubs, bottom of the 5th. 3-2 pitch coming to Hap.
All right, here's the question.
All right. You guys ready?
Oh, runner going. Oh, but ball 4 anyway.
He would have been safe?
I think so.
Yeah, I do too.
So here's your question. Who was the last Cub or Cubs to hit 30 home runs in a season? What season was it?
Who was the last Cub to hit 30 home runs in a season? Just to hit 30 home runs in a season?
Mm-hmm.
The last Cub to do it. So it's going to be like a Bryant Baez type deal, right? Because nobody hit 30 last year.
Wisdom and Bellinger both had 26 last year.
Yeah. Yeah, and Morel hit Morel would have hit 30 if they would have left him in the big leagues.
Yeah, he did have 30, including if you added in the Iowa ones.
Then you had some bad years. Man, I'm going to probably say Chris Bryant. Which I'm sure he would die for 30 home runs now. It's crazy to see how bad he is. And because I love him, I'm going to always love him.
He's my favorite. He's my favorite Cub.
I mean, and it's just a shame. Like, so Cooper fouled one back. So he's got it. Ducks on the pond, as Dizzy Dean would say. So we got a lot of Rizzos and Bryants and Schwarbers in here.
Nobody's guessed the year, or a few people have guessed the year. Do you have a guess on the year, Mick?
Man, probably. Well, it wouldn't be 2020 because we didn't play enough games, and then we traded. It's probably 2019.
I'm gonna give a little more time for some answers.
Doug DeCenzo. I've had him on the channel before, guys. I like Doug.
Madrigal up now.
30 home runs. It's a big deal. 40 home runs is huge, right? 50 home runs is like Sosa, 50 and 60.
We could do that one next.
But Rizzo 2015, that answer.
No, because Bryant and Rizzo both had over 30 in 2016. Bryant won the MVP.
Yeah, right.
With 39, I want to say.
I just remember those guys were like, we were still producing with them until COVID, like.
Well, and they had the division in 21 until
right.
the 10-game losing streak. Talkman.
Look at that. The route's on, everyone. The route is on. Come on in, Dansby.
All right.
8-1.
Dansby's having a nice game this afternoon. Madrigal gets in the hit parade. He's 1 for 1 now.
Good easy swing. It's crazy too. Like when you're having a bad season, like these are the games that you deal with.
Or no, excuse me. That was Mike Talkman. He hit for Madrigal. So Madrigal's day is done. Talkman's going to go out to right and Wisdom's going to come to play third.
Is that, you think that's going to happen?
Well, you can't take Morel out of the DH. So if Talkman hit for Madrigal, you got to assume, well, he can't play third.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think he just gave him an at bat.
I would assume Wisdom goes to third and Talkman goes out to right then.
If Talkman, who's the DH today?
Morel's the DH, so you can't move him out of that spot.
Yeah. Okay. I thought you were talking about the DH. Yeah, that's what they would do.
Okay, so the correct answer is 2019, Mick. It was 2 players. Schwarber had 38 and Bryant had 31.
Okay, so I'm half right. So we could, but like
you got the year right and the player.
Yeah,
one of the players. So we'll say you're 75% right.
Yeah, well, I mean, you didn't. You just said who was the last. Oh, by putting the S in there, it's kind of like a sneaky. You're like one of the sneaky like professor guys.
Yeah.
So a lot of us were like on this.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was surprising that, hasn't been Hap or Bellinger or Wisdom even. You had to go back to 2019.
Yeah. I just can't believe that. Double play ball. All right, that's fine. Look, we'll take it. We added another one to the lead. Do you think
8-1 Cubs after 5? Would you send Tyion out for another inning?
I was just about to ask you that.
Great minds.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you the same thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like you got to assume. I don't know exactly how many pitches he's at, which is a factor. I think he's still somewhere in the 50s, low 60s. And if that's the case, I think you should throw him out for another inning. protect your bullpen, because tomorrow I know you got Assad and Imanaga going, but to have to cover the bullpen for 2 days worth of a doubleheader, you'd like to get as much as you can out of Tyion here.
Pretty good start to the day. Run down the just give us a recap of who did what when, if you could. Just like give us a box score recap.
Yeah, so Hoerner leading off, obviously, he's 2 for 3. He's got 2 doubles, a run scored, and an RBI. Wisdom 0 for 2 in his return, but he does have a walk and came around to score in that at-bat. Bellinger also 2 for 3 with an RBI single. Morel, like Wisdom, 0 for 2 with a walk, but he did score when he got on base. Here's your player of the game so far. Dansby Swanson, 2 for 2, a double, a single, a walk, a run driven in. Nice play in the field. Came around to score both times he's been on base. Hap 0 for 2 with a walk. Garrett Cooper, he's 1 for 3 with an RBI. Mike Talkman just came in to pinch hit for Nick Madrigal and lined a single into the right field corner. And Miguel Amaya just grounded into that double play to end things in the bottom of the 5th, but he's 1 for 3 with a 2 RBI double. And this poses the question to you, Mick, now that we ran through that. How long until Amaya takes starting catcher?
Man, I don't know. I mean, there's so much and they're going to the bullpen. Here's Keegan Thompson in. So 5 innings for Tyion, a successful debut this year, gave the Cubs a chance to win, only a run on 3 hits. And Thompson looked really good his last time out. And
he's the stash man.
You guys with the stashes.
Yeah, the thing with Tyion, he wasn't particularly sharp in that outing against Arizona, but he pitched 2 crucial innings, and the Cubs got the extra inning win. He went 2 innings in both of his appearances so far, so you can expect he gets the 6th and 7th, and if he's really dealing, maybe the 8th as well. But yeah, he's off to a great start this year, and I think a little round of applause is in order for Jameson Tyion.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, I'm with you.
5 innings, 1 run only, a couple of Ks as well. He was really good. You don't want to push him too hard on his first game back. You would have liked to probably get another inning out of him, but you can't complain about what you did get. So you have to feel happy about that. And now you get Keegan in there.
Luis Arias. This guy's a pretty good hitter.
Yeah, at this point last year, I think he was hitting like 520.
I know. He's one of those guys that the analytics people don't like because of this soft contact.
Yeah, but he gets the job done. He's always on base.
They don't count the same though. If you get a hit and it's like 80 off the bat, it doesn't count the same as if you get a hit and it's 100 off the bat.
Yeah, just like a ground ball doesn't count the same as a strikeout.
Yeah, right.
Like, an out. A hit's a hit.
I know. I'm not making fun of the analytics. I'm just making fun of the people that think analytics determine the difference between winning and losing. Like that they think that everything is based on analytics.
There's our third baseman.
Oh, see, that's why I didn't want him in the game. That I forgot about that. He's he's playing third with he plays the field with boxing gloves on. Like when you said they were making that move, I was like, I knew that the ball would find him because it always does. I mean, look at this. I mean, you couldn't hit a fungo bat better than that. Roar. It's like he just lifts weights all the time, but he's got no finesse.
Here's a
God, I can't stand watching him play the field. He just drives me nuts with that.
Now Madrigal's out of the game. Mastroboni's in Iowa. Morel's your DH, so he can't play third.
Oh, you're stuck with him.
If this turns into a close game, Wisdom's there. That's scary.
I think if you're Thompson too, you're like, man, you get like that weak contact. Like those aren't even like, like we're not going to throw up. Well, that was hit 110 miles an hour. I mean, that's just typical. That's typical Wisdom in the field right there.
It's a good old fashioned E5.
I mean, jeez.
But to go back to the question about Amaya, the thing with Gomes, he calls a better game and he's much stronger defensively behind the plate. Amaya, in that game, the Cubs blew the 11-8 one when Little came in and threw the 2 wild pitches to the backstop. maybe Gomes gets in front of those. Maybe Gomes doesn't make the error throwing to second and it goes into center field. That's the tough part about Amaya right now. He's still a little bit raw defensively, but the bat certainly plays at the big league level.
I don't know that we'll ever see Bodie back in the major leagues again.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about before I cut out back in the second inning. Bodie's a guy that, has given you some great memories as a Cub, and he keeps hitting in the minor leagues and he keeps hitting in spring training, but he just was never able to carve out a permanent role with the big league club, and it just doesn't seem like there's any avenues toward regular playing time for him.
Yeah, Aramis, here you go. Yeah, this is true. Aramis and Chris were the best third basemen. I think that if it would have been me, I probably would have turned Javi Baez into a third baseman back in the, coming up, but they liked Chris there, and he was great at it too. He's just so big. He was eventually going to get hurt. We man, this guy no walk.
Nice.
Yes, he just swung at strike 3 up in his eyes. The last thing you want to do with a big lead, I say this a lot on my broadcasts, is you want to blow a big lead, just start walking people.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the easiest way. I mean, you look at AJ Puck, he leads the league in walks, and why do you think the Cubs are up 8-1 right now? They got a ton of free passes.
All right, let's get a double play here. Here's
That'd
Chisholm again. Did you see the interview that Chisholm did where he was bagging on his teammates from last year?
Yeah, I actually liked it.
I was like, first off, I saw him come up. He's got all his power. You can get him out. He's very pitchable, but he's actually done better than I thought he would do in the big leagues, right? And I could not believe that he was saying it, although I didn't disagree with him at all. I think, and I've said this before, look, I'm a baseball purist, but I also think that you have to have fun playing the game. And, the veteran mentality where, you're not allowed to show any emotion, you can't, do a bat flip or stuff like that. Like, look, man, I mean, as long as you're not showing someone up, I love watching the guys in the Dominican play and Venezuela, the Caribbean World Series, and I think that baseball needs a little more of that. When I watch football and basketball, I mean, those guys go crazy when they do something good, and it's fun.
Yeah, and there's something to be made of like these in baseball more than any sport has this big like veteran culture and like almost like hazing to the young talent. But the fact of the matter is that young talent, that's the reason somebody's buying a ticket. And when you have the manager and the general manager talking about like, for instance,
Two.
Jazz is a big leader on this ball club, but when he gets into the dugout, he gets shamed for being excited about hitting homers. And he's talking about the guys that are telling me to be quiet are the same guys hitting like 110 and haven't homered in 3 weeks or whatever. Like that's the part that's kind of frustrating with some of the, baseball purists and the baseball culture of like veterans is that it might be a little out of date, especially if it's coming from a voice of somebody who isn't really performing anymore.
Right. Well, Chisholm struck out, and look at that solid stash there. Good close up of the stash. I'd like to see. Honestly, man, I think you might have a better stash than him. Barely. It's close competition. Yours is just a little darker.
Yeah, it doesn't. It's a little blonde, even though Keegan's got the brown hair up top. His stash is a little bit blonde, so it's kind of hard to tell unless you get the zoom in. I'm lucky with the contrast. Makes it look a little fuller.
Yeah.
There's a nice pick back there.
It's only going to benefit Amaya to be around Yan Gomes.
Yeah, that too. It's like any pitcher being around Kyle Hendricks. You just learn how to do it, and you learn how to go about your business.
What do you think is going to happen with Kyle Hendricks? And let me lay it out. I think we all know he's been getting rocked. I mean,
yeah, no secret.
I know, and he's as frustrated as anybody. And it's really hard for me to even criticize him because I told you guys I love him. I think he's a great guy. I've known him since he got in the biz, with the Cubs, and I mean, I believe in him, but Father Time's undefeated, and you wonder, like, is he going to be able to figure this out? I was, this. I mean, I was waiting yesterday, and that's not what we want, by the way. Thompson just walked the batter, so now there's 2 on with 2 outs. I just don't know. Like every time there's a pitching roster move, I'm wondering if he's going to get, designated for assignment.
Yeah,
released.
And I feel like the first step with Hendricks is going to be, putting him on the injured list and then letting him try to pitch out of it on rehab assignments, which I think would be a better way to go than just DFAing him immediately. The other thing with Hendricks is the fact that they're skipping Ben Brown's spot in the rotation to give Hendricks a start against Miami. I think that's going to be really important to see if he can get right against the worst team in baseball. And if they go out there and put 6-7 runs on him, I think you might have to pull the plug and go to plan B, whether that's the FDA, for assignment, or DFA, excuse me, or, put Hendricks on the IL and let him rehab it in Iowa. So those are the 2 things I'm looking for. But hopefully you get, 6 innings, a one run ball against the Marlins and get his confidence right. Here's a good question here. It's something we've discussed on this show before.
There we go. Hold it. Got him. All right.
Got him.
Going to the bottom of the 6th.
Donnie asks, are Michael Busch and Shota Imanaga both viable Rookie of the Year candidates thus far? And I think they both are. It's a shame that they don't have Rookie of the Year batter and Rookie of the Year pitcher, because I'd say they're both probably 1 and 2 right now in the National League. Imanaga hasn't met the innings requirement yet, just because of the last start. He only was able to go 4 due to the rain. But after this next start, he'll be qualified and have the best ERA in the league. And Busch, we're talking about the 5 home runs in 5 games, but he's also been so consistent in the other games. RBI hits, doubles. He had that home run against the Dodgers during our last watch party. So I think they're both definitely in the conversation right now. I know there's still 141 games to go in the season, but I expect both of them to be in the conversation as, August and September come around.
And if they're both in the conversation, that means that the Cubs are going to be right where they want to be, right? And exactly. Right where they want to be is like somewhere near the top or at the top in the division and in the in the playoff mix. I mean, Michael Busch has been a godsend. The Cubs are doing it right now without Seiya Suzuki, and he was brilliant on that road trip. And then obviously Shota's been just better than advertised, right? So, I love it. I mean, both of them right now, we're not even through April yet, but I mean, both of them are in the conversation, which is good. All right, let's look at your bet again. Remind everyone what we're doing here.
All right. Real quick though, Becky says Busch might be the next Rizzo. I'm sure a lot of people think that's a little too soon to say, but I do think he's on the right track because he's a highly touted prospect that the Cubs acquired from a different organization, made him their starting first baseman, and he's off to a great start. And that's kind of the same trajectory that Rizzo had in Chicago. But here you go. The parlay of the day. Nico Hoerner hit. He's already got 2, so that one is cashed. Cubs.
Check.
Cubs -1.5. They're up by 7. Check.
Let's hope.
And then Morel, 1.5 bases. He's currently got 0. So, if he hits 2 more times and you get a single both times, great. If he hits a double or a triple or a home run and 1 at bat, that is the answer as well. And then Alt over 8.5 runs. The game is currently at 9. So check.
All right. Nice.
Keep an eye on that. Hopefully Morel bats this inning. As Nico comes up, he's 2 for 3 today. 2 doubles, 2 really strong hit doubles.
I always thought that Nico would eventually, because he makes such solid contact. I remember talking with former Cubs cross-checker Sam Hughes about scouting Nico and watching him play and the way that he would just square the ball up, and he's going to fly out this time, but just barrel the ball up, and how, he kind of watched him play different places. I want to say it was Stanford, right?
Yes.
And you wonder with a guy like that, if he's going to be able to pull the rhino, right, and turn those doubles into home runs. And so far, he hasn't done that. But he was just so Rhino-esque to me because of his ability to barrel up the ball, because of his broad shoulders, and kind of has that big league presence to him. So definitely curious to see. All right, so here's Wisdom, 0 for 2. I called a home run for Wisdom, but he hasn't done that yet. He's only made an error. Like we saw, like he was batting 400 in Iowa. He's like, you're hearing about like the 150 exit velocity on the hits, and we just get like regular Patrick Wisdom, like strikeout, error.
Yeah, that's
like, what are we doing here?
The duality of Patrick Wisdom.
Wisdom, if he doesn't hit, he has no value, and he popped it up into the sun. No, oh, they got it. Tough play. Wisdom to me is that's just what he is.
Yeah, that'll bring up Bellinger. 2 quick outs. Hopefully Cody can kind of start a 2-out rally here. I mean, you're up 7, you feel good about it, but why not pour more on?
I just feel like people they try to compare Morel and Wisdom, and I just don't see it. I think Morel has a lot more value.
Oh, absolutely.
And honestly, yeah, and he's also becoming a better third baseman.
Mm-hmm.
Wisdom it's like he can't catch he just can't, like, it's like his glove doesn't catch. He honestly reminds me of like a beer league softball guy, that would have played for the old Skull softball team. Like the tobacco, they had these group of guys.
Yeah. And
they would just go around and just bomb the Skull Bandits, they were called. And they would just hit like 500-foot softballs. They all look like they lift weight and dipped snuff, Yeah,
he's a guy you remember those guys. Have a beer right next to third base.
Yeah, which is that's the kind of ball I like. Give me a cold. If I get the third, I get a cold one. We talked about the so funny. We were in a blowout. We lost 15-2 yesterday, and I was talking about the 999 challenge. That's what got us through the game. And I got an angry Karen called up and complained. Should I play? I don't know if I'm allowed to play it. It is the funniest. It really is the funniest complaint I've ever gotten. I love it. Honestly, I would love to give her a hug for just being so.
Oh, could be trouble.
All right. So, okay. Look, I you're not going to score every inning, but what I like is let's get this thing into victory lane. Let's get this into the win column.
Yeah, and you're going to see Keegan out there for another inning. Hopefully it's a little bit sharper than that last one, and then you're coasting.
You think, should I play this? You think I should play it? I don't know. I probably shouldn't, but I would love to.
Yeah, I mean, you explained it pretty well. It's
she's
somebody that
she's like on the team voicemail. All they were doing was, these guys are horrible. All they were doing is talking about beer and hot dogs.
How about this one, Mick? I'll drink some beer with Patrick Wisdom as long as he agreed to stay on.
That's pretty good. God, that's so funny. What do you guys think of the watch party? Give me some suggestions. How can we make the watch party better? What do you like about it? This is our second show, so we're still developing this concept of the FriDAY watch parties. If we can't be in the bleachers, this is the next best thing, kind of hanging out together and talking some baseball and hanging out.
Yeah, and speaking of the bleachers, if any of you guys are going to tomorrow's night game, the rain out from yesterday's makeup, I'll be there. So if you see the guy in the stash with the Dansby Swanson jersey, come say hi.
Dansby. And
we might feature you guys on the show. I'll be bringing a little mic around Wrigley. So if you guys want, come say hi.
Nice. I also probably a good time to tell you that if I dip off here and Ant takes the show the rest of the way, it's because at some point I don't know that we're going to have an issue, but I'm interviewing Matt Shaw. I told you guys that. So Cade Horton will go up probably Sunday, and then we'll have Matt Shaw coming up on the channel as well. So, so you got a Dansby Swanson jersey? I'm trying to what jersey would I get? Probably Belly.
I've got Dansby Swanson and I've got Justin Steele.
Both. Steele's a really fun guy. Oh, Alex Canario in the outfield.
Love it. So that means Hap's done for the day.
Yeah, hey, look, council working. Yep, you're right. Oh, but he's talking to Nick Frangella, and I wonder why.
That could be a little discomfort of some sort.
I've known Nick for 20 years. I got some great stories with Nick. Great guy.
You got to hope Hap's all right, but excited to see Canario in the game. Just wish he wasn't because of Hap being injured.
Yeah, I wonder what that means. So who would be the next guy up? I mean, if you would you bring Magical back, or do you? Because Pete Crow Armstrong's been struggling.
Well, no, it's just Canario would start playing every day, and then you'd probably bring up Mastroboni to fill that last bench spot.
All right, there's one down. Thompson got him with the curveball or the slider. I don't know. Let's say like curveball, slider. I mean, it's so hard to tell the difference.
Or maybe even Peralta.
Slider. Yeah, how's he doing?
It's a good question. I'll look up his minor league stats, but he's another guy that the Cubs.
John says Vasquez. Vasquez has been killing it.
He's been raking, but he's a shortstop, isn't he?
He's an infielder. That's right. He's a shortstop. Noma.
Yeah, Vasquez is a guy that's just shooting up prospect rankings, but you probably won't
saw it
see
last
him
year,
here
man.
soon.
He's gold glove caliber shortstop.
Can he play a different position?
I don't know. I mean, mostly shortstop.
Because Dansby's there for the foreseeable future,
2 outs.
Oh, what about here's one? Owen Casey coming up if Hap is down.
Well, I don't know. I mean, his numbers aren't blazing yet either. A lot of people feel like that. Scouts have told me this, that they feel like Pete Crow Armstrong moved up to AAA in the big leagues too fast.
Jake Slaughter, Mervis, some other options, guys who've been hitting down there. But
Jake
again,
Slaughter,
if it's an outfielder, those don't do you a ton of help.
Jake Slaughter, you get the feeling that the organization just for some reason just doesn't like him. And then I think he's a free agent at the end of the year. He's a guy who an organization like the White Sox or the Marlins could say, hey, you know what, we're going to take a chance on a guy who just rakes in AAA and throughout the minor leagues and see what we got. And you might get something there. The Cubs are stacked right now. They got a big league roster that's pretty set, and then they got this minor league, rosters. They're double and AAA teams are two of the top 10 teams in all of minor league baseball. What do you do with these guys?
And they're just loaded with, all these shortstops and all these outfielders, which are unfortunately the positions that have the most block at the big league level. As Keegan
there we go.
The strikeout.
Pa! Sorry.
And I think
sorry, guys.
Stretch time, Mick. Do you want to dust off the pipes?
You got it today.
All right, here we go. Should I try to time it up with
time it? I'll update the graph, and then I'm gonna.
We got Eberflus. That's why the Bears are winning, or the Cubs are winning.
You got this. I'm gonna go get a drink.
Richard Hightower, Shane Waldron, Eric Washington, and Matt Eberflus doing the stretch.
It's all you, baby.
All right, a 1, a 2, a 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out with the crowd. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jack. I don't care if I'll ever get back for its root Root for the Cubbies. If they don't win, it's a shame. And it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game. Let's get some runs. Cubs on top 8-1. Middle of the 7th inning here. Cubs are getting ready to hit. It's going to be Christopher Morel leading things off. And going to pop the parlay of the day back up here in just a second, but want to acknowledge this comment from Knowledge Untamed. When your bullpen arm has a good inning, quit putting him in for another inning. He did his job. It's tough because sometimes you have a guy like Keegan Thompson or Ben Brown or Hayden Wesneski, Drew Smiley, that when you put him in, you're hoping to get 1 or 2 or maybe even a third inning out of him. These guys are starters that are converted into bullpen arms, stretched out a little bit more. But I get what you mean. Like if you bring in a guy to get out of a jam and, pitches, gets out of the jam, and then you bring him out for the next inning, and then you give up a base runner, and then here comes the next guy out of the bullpen, and now he comes into a dirty inning. It's kind of challenging. So I see where you're coming from there. But bottom of the 7th about to get underway. Going to pop the parlay back on here. We need some action out of Christopher Morel. It's probably his last at bat.
All right, here we go. We need Morel to. Morel could keep you alive with a double here.
Yes. Big swing.
Oh, he's trying to help you. I'm sure he knows that your parlay's on the line right now.
Somebody told him for sure.
If you guys tonight, you're looking for something to do, Smokey's feed on the MLB at Bat app. Beer and hot dogs.
The umpire looking at Morel's bat. I think it might have cracked just on the tip. When you pitch him on that outside corner and he swings so aggressively to pull, induces a ton of weak contact.
Yeah, it does. He's done a better job though of laying off of some pitches, but he is definitely an aggressive hitter. And you got to be. I mean, the best hitters are.
Yeah,
you just got to have a good eye.
2-strike count.
No beer today, water. Morel. What do you think of his eye black? Makes him look like cat whiskers.
Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Morel the cat.
It's battling up there.
Would you split
the game
$50 with him if he gets a hit here?
What'd you say?
Would you split your $50?
Dude, if he hits a homer here, I'm gonna run to the bathroom and put the eye black on my face. Oh, good play by the third baseman.
Oh man, nice pick at third, 1 out.
Need him to bat around so he comes back up to hit.
So, are you concerned at all? Are you concerned at all about Happ leaving?
Yeah, a little bit. I think he's one of the guys that has proved over the last few years to be kind of your durable guy, and a guy that wants to be out there in every game. You know, that's how you win Gold Gloves and make an All-Star appearance and things of that nature. But, the conversation, obviously we don't know what was said, but the fact that you have to talk with the trainer and the manager and pull yourself out of a game, it definitely is a little bit concerning. I hope we get some good news after the game. Maybe it's just like, his muscle was cramping up. He'll be back in there tomorrow. But
yeah, that'll be one of the things I ask
him. And Suzuki has to miss significant time. I know Canario's up here already. They could bring back Mastroboni to play some outfield if they need to. I know Wisdom can play out there too, which doesn't, excite anybody. But, we talked about it. They have a ton of prospects that are also outfielders. And, we mentioned Crow Armstrong and Owen Casey. Alcantara had 4 hits the other night with the Smokies. He's a little ways away from the bigs, but that's another one. And Brennan Davis is a name that's been talked about for years and years. And they've got some veterans out there too in Peralta that maybe could come up if needed. And I know we've heard the comments talk about Bodie and Mervis as well. So they definitely have the depth to handle an injury, but when a guy like Suzuki and Happ goes down, it could be a massive hole in your lineup.
7 runs in 5 of 7 home games this year for the Cubs.
Yeah, Council's been unbelievable at home.
Here's Alexander Canario.
I'm going to call it Canario homer. Think he goes yard here. He just fills up the batter's box so well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough when you don't play every day, to really get it going. Look at that pitch, too. Man, that's a big curveball. Oh, man.
Wow. Nice inning.
Yeah, that was fast. It's all right. Get us closer to – we need 6 outs.
To fly in the old W.
Yeah. So we were talking about this before, and I don't know if we ever really got into it, but John was telling us, he was like, hey, he listens to other he said he listens to other podcasts and the other teams in the division, like the Cardinals and the Reds, and the Brewers aren't worried about the Cubs. If they're not, I mean, who are you worried about? I mean, do you think Milwaukee's going to be able to maintain, and I'm going to put the standings up there when we talk about this. So,
yeah, I think Pittsburgh is off to a really good start, and Cincinnati is probably the team that I would say scares me the most, aside from the Cubs. But the Brewers don't scare me all that much, just because I think a lot of their success is because of the guy that's in our dugout now, and they don't have Burns anymore, and Woodruff's out the year, so it's Peralta, a bunch of question marks, and an offense that statistically, underachieves. So I'm not worried about Milwaukee. I'm not that worried about St. Louis. I know they have the star power with Arenado and Goldschmidt and Contreras, but their pitching is the least scary of anybody in this division, and they're already having some struggles. So I would say, aside from Chicago, it's probably the Reds that scare me the most. They have a really talented young offense and some arms that are getting to the big leagues, but Pittsburgh's off to a good start. I think there's still some ways away. I don't understand. I know it's biased. I know I love the Cubs, but I don't understand how it's not the Cubs division to lose.
Yeah. Well, look, everybody's off to a decent start. It's not like we've got the White Sox or the Marlins in our division, although this is the perfect time to play the Marlins. And I mean, look, and it evens out. I mean, that was a tough road trip to have to play the Diamondbacks and Seattle and the Padres, but I don't think Pittsburgh will hang long. They need to get Paul Skeens up there. And then Cincinnati's got a lot of hitting, but the pitching, well, now they could get better when they start getting their guys back. Here's Colton Brewer, by the way, making his Cubs debut. So this is the 4th big league team he's pitched for. There's a ground ball to, oh my goodness, he got it.
He did it. Yay.
Nothing about that looked smooth, right?
So Brewer's a guy, he's a veteran. So I was going to ask if you'd seen him out in Tennessee, but I you probably haven't.
Never did.
He's only pitched in Iowa. A veteran bullpen piece, probably a guy that gets sent back down soon, I would imagine. But I'm interested to see what he's got. I don't know a whole lot about him.
Yeah. Well, he pitched for Boston. Let me pull it up. I just looked at it the other day. Maybe I want to say just off the top of my head, the Yankees, the Red Sox, and the Padres.
Yankees sounds right. He wouldn't be able to have that beard with the Yankees, so.
Yeah. What do you think about that? Would you like to go? Yeah, I'm right. Padres in 18, Red Sox 19 through 21, and then the Yankees in 23.
Got it.
Career in his 5 years in the big leagues, 4.98 ERA, 4 starts, 15 games finished. Is that right? No, 84 games, 4 starts, 15 games finished in his career. He had a really good 2019 with the Red Sox. 58 games and a 1-2 record and a 4.12 ERA. You know, so I say really good, but decent.
Yeah. Were you asking me about my thoughts on the Yankees rule?
Yeah. Would you shave the stash?
Yeah, I would if I had to. If I was given a chance to play for the Yankees, I think I'd do whatever they asked me to do. But no, I think it's one of those things that they're a team that's so known for their history, and so known for their success over their history, where they've done it away for all these years, and they've won 27 championships out of it. So I think it's kind of cool to be a part of, participating in that legacy and that history.
Yeah, like some tradition or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. Like, I think it's like, man, for a long time, I had to keep my hair really short, right? And then COVID happened, and one of the things that I enjoyed about COVID, which weren't many, but was that I just like, well, I'm gonna let my hair grow, you know, didn't have to shave, you know, because when wasn't in front of anybody. And it's kind of freeing. And I've noticed it since then, like a lot of places have less hangups on people that, you know, have different style haircuts, you know?
Yeah. Or even like, I feel like over the last few years, tattoos is something that people care less and less about.
Yeah, right.
In the job space.
No, I agree. 85 says, yeah, let every market in the division keep sleeping on the Cubs. Yeah, I know. I hate it when the national media starts like telling us how great we are. Rat poison. Then all of a sudden we're terrible, you know?
Yeah. Let me ask you this, because I know a lot of people are frustrated with what we've seen from Hector Neris and Adbert Alzolay, who are supposed to be your 8 and 9 for this year. As the season continues, and I know we've got some arms in the bullpen, and then also some arms in the minor leagues that have kind of come back and pitched well, like Keegan and Hayden, Ben Brown even. And you're going to get Steele back and all of this with the health coming back. But, you know, that back end of the bullpen is still a question mark. Once you get toward...
Here we go, by the way. Here we go. Got him. Bottom of the 8th we go.
There we go. Heading to the bottom of the 8th. But
finish it.
Once you get close to that, trade deadline, middle of the season, where you really, got to figure out the back end. And if they don't figure it out by then, do you trade a guy like Mervis or somebody else in the minor leagues to try to get a closer?
I was having this conversation with somebody yesterday. Yes, they have to trade guys because they just have too many. And I mean, it's coming, you know, and they're less willing to put prospects in the big leagues and take the risk of those guys not performing than going out and getting someone from a different organization. And so I think it's going to happen. I mean, it just depends on how the market is too. You know, last year I thought the Quash trade, I've told you guys this, and I know I'm going to get people in the comment section tell me they don't want to hear it, but I just thought it was a terrible trade. I've said it since the beginning. You got to get better than that. Like if I'm going to give you somebody that's young and can be potentially a game changer, at least get someone that's good in the back end of the bullpen, right? But those guys are sought after. And so you're going to have to give up some talent. And I think it's going to happen if the Cubs are in the mix. I look for it to happen.
Yeah, I look forward to adding to that bullpen. Like, I don't know if Cleveland's going to put Clase out on the market again, but that's a guy the Cubs were rumored for heavily during the offseason.
Well, they've gotten off to a good start.
And he's gotten off to a great start, 5 saves already. So that's a guy that you would want, on your team, a guy that you feel confident giving the ball in the 9th, and it slots Alzolay down to the 7th or 8th, and Leiter and Merriweather if he's healthy, and Neris, and you just kind of shorten the game when you have the 9th inning figured out. But so far this year, the 8th and 9th have been, a little tricky for the Cubs. I like Alzolay. He looked flat early. He looks a little bit better now, but has also, squandered a few save opportunities. He's as many as he did last year. 3 blown saves already this year.
Yeah, it just looks it looks a little different now.
Right. It doesn't look as dominant. So I think that's, if there's one area on this team that the Cubs need, it's probably closer, at the very least bullpen help. So how early do you address that via trade, or do you wait until the end of July?
I don't know. I mean, I guess a lot of it has to do with availability.
Yeah, that too, because you have a lot of guys right now that are available, but just can't really pitch high leverage at the moment. This Marlins bullpen's been doing pretty good against us today.
Let's just fine. Let's just get this one let's just win this thing.
Yeah, put it in the dub column.
Yeah, because I've got an interview to do. So
yeah, what during BP you said?
After. So I'm watching right now doing this. Cooper's been pretty good. You know, he's going to want to do well against his old team. What do you like the Marlins? That's like they got all those crazy like colors and stuff, and then on the road they're just like gray and they say Miami on them.
Yeah, it's interesting. I like the teal. I think they should use the teal more. I like that they went back to it after those, 5-6 years with the 8 color uniforms with the orange and the yellow and the red.
It's when you look up close, there's colors in there, but
yeah,
black and gray. Remember when Derek Jeter came in and then they got rid of the incredible fountain that they had in that stadium?
It was awesome.
What the hell was he thinking? Like, dude, this isn't the Yankees, man. I wanted to come see that fountain. I mean, come on.
Yeah, you can't run every organization like the Yankees because some teams don't just have their brand to sell tickets.
That's right.
Miami needs, and another piece of hitting by Tauchman. He's kind of getting hot all of a sudden. Cooper on his way to third. Tauchman into second. Great hustle.
Oh, yeah, look at that. Good day for him.
Big day for him off the bench.
Rhonda's like, what about C.J. Edwards? Yeah, I like C.J.
I don't think he'll be a closer, though. So you still need to address the back end. But yeah,
no,
CJ could help.
Yeah.
And I think we'll see him up soon.
Knowledge loves Tauchman. Glue guy. I thought that one of the reasons that the Cubs started to slide with that, after they won the World Series, it's like they got rid of a lot of the glue guys. Matt Caesar didn't have a spot. Tommy LaStella was out. Like Ben Zobrist was gone. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Lackey, to have that guy in the clubhouse, it's going to be like, look, you're going to work hard today.
He took the money with St. Louis.
Yeah, that was a tough one. And it's hard to keep a team together.
Right. Because everybody that contributes to a World Series wants, a little bit of money.
And honestly, like having all that money locked up in Hayward, who was just so bad.
Yeah, that was tough. All right, 1 out, second and third for Hoerner.
Neek.
Is there any chance that Morel bats?
Somebody, when Hoerner was coming up, somebody tweeted at me, and it made me laugh so hard. And it was me so Hoerner.
Yeah, they have a
like the 2 Live Crew song.
Yeah, they have an obvious shirt that says Happy and Hoerner.
That's always just made me laugh.
Yeah, it's good stuff. All right, keep the line moving, Nico. We need Morel to bat, man. We're sweating this one out.
I mean, like a base hit, you got 10, and I'll take 10. I mean, not that the Cubs are going to blow it, but we did blow an 8-run lead against the Padres. Except the good thing is that Quas is on Iowa's pitching staff now. All right, well, there's 2.
Weird play.
I know. It would have been would have been funny. Would have been funny if the third baseman would have tagged out Tauchman. Then they had the guy. Yeah, then they had the guy between third and home.
Yeah.
So there's 2 outs now. It was a ground ball back to the pitcher, and Cooper was heading home. He probably just should have stayed there. Sometimes you're going on contact on that play, but
yeah, I don't understand why you would be. It's 8-1. And here we go, Wisdom. We see if he can fill your prediction from earlier.
Yeah, I thought he was going to homer today. Look at those. Look at that helmet. That
Ooh,
little
that
tiny
wasn't a
helmet.
strike.
That small batting helmet on that big head. He's like, and that wasn't a strike. He's not happy about it.
Wisdom's 0 for 3 with a walk and a run in his season debut.
You think he's like he eats a lot of protein and hits the gym a lot?
Yeah, that's the vibe you get for sure.
Yeah, right. I mean, that dude's chiseled, man.
He's a really, surprisingly, a really good dancer too. They always post videos of him dancing, warm-ups and stuff. He's a great dancer. He's got some rhythm. This seems like a perfect time to turn on an inside pitch and just belt one.
Hey, how about us, man? We were on top of that move too.
Yeah.
We were like on top of that on one of our shows. Like, hey, they took him out of the lineup in Iowa. Not that it's a big move, but
Well, and we were, I think, some of the first to say that it has to be Mastroboni that goes down because he hasn't had a role.
Yeah.
All righty. Another 2 Ks for Wisdom.
That one was right. That was.
What is it you're looking
I'm
for?
laughing because you heard that. I don't know if it's on this channel, so I mean we can say it, but people would say it's right down the cock. I don't even know what that means, but they used to say that on the playground. Wisdom. I don't know. I was thinking Wisdom was going to bring up that it must be just different hitting in Iowa.
Yeah, it seems like everybody can do it.
Oh man.
Well, if you're going with right down the cock for the location, have you heard the expression?
I'm sorry. This is that's just somebody used to say that when I was playing.
Have you heard the expression on if you turn on a pitch there and hit a homer, what they call that?
Wheelhouse to me.
It's a cock shot.
Oh, cock shot. Yeah. Well, that's probably why. So there's you would go back talking about baseball every day. You're always trying to figure out what, where these sayings came from. Right. So one of them's on the screws. Right. And that is an old golf term for when there were 2 screws that held the golf club together. Yeah. Right. And around the horn, which I love that saying because when I played third, I used to love to go around the horn, I'd love it when a strike 3 and then I'd catch the ball and then, go around the horn with it. The horn is a boating, a term for sailing. The horn is down in South Africa. You go around, you boat around the horn. Right. And then can of corn is when back in the day when they would stack like cans up at the grocery store and the grocer would have a broomstick and he'd knock the can down into the and this one's for you, John, into the apron.
And then you've got the there's a lot of them. You got ducks on the pond. That one's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, ducks on the pond was that was started by Dizzy Dean. So Dizzy Dean was the here's Brewer out for a second inning, by the way. We're in the top of the 9th. Dizzy Dean, Hall of Famer, right? And he was a Cardinal, but he had some time with the Cubs. Maybe he managed or coached or something. But he was on the national broadcast, and he was this guy from this country boy from Arkansas, and he'd have all these country sayings. But that'd be from duck hunting. They duck hunt a lot in Arkansas. So in men on base, he'd say ducks on the pond.
I was trying to get a look at that glove. I thought it said his name. It says Lone Star.
Yeah. Come on. Oh, man.
You got to be careful with that play. That's the same thing that Steele got hurt on.
Well, another Greg Maddux thing, Greg Maddux was he's the best fielder at his position ever. Right. Use your glove, man. You use your glove, you can get him out. You got to get the ball cleanly. And I can remember talking to Greg, and he'd be like, look, I told the infielders that anything up the middle was mine, and then making all of those plays like that. I mean, I know it's an 8-1 game in the 9th and all, but I'm just saying those little things matter, Kyle Hendricks, like, he's a great defender too. You know, you got to field your position, and that should be an out there, but oh well, it's not an error. So what do you guys think? We got pretty good start to the homestand. Is it a homestand, or is this just a 4-game series?
No, 4-game series and then 3 next week against Houston. And if
in Houston or at home, I should probably pull this up, but
yeah, and then you go on the road to Boston. But if what I heard was correct, this is the Astros' first time playing at Wrigley as an American League team.
What?
I guess they haven't come here in 8 years.
No way.
They haven't.
God,
we've gone there
crazy, man.
times. They haven't come here.
And think about all those games. Remember when they left?
Yeah, I had my gym coach in high school used to say to all the Sox fans, the team you beat in the World Series was so bad we kicked them out of our league.
Right, here we go. All right, we got one. We got one. Yeah, the team was so bad. And then what is he doing?
Think they coming to check on Dansby or see if that was like an interference type of play. Because watch, the runner doesn't slide. And I think there's a rule that he's supposed to.
It was a pretty good throw. Oh, yeah. Like you're not supposed to just like run by the bag like that?
I guess not. I'm pretty sure that's a rule.
I don't know. It just looked like he ran past second like it was first base.
Yeah, which is weird. I know sometimes it's a smart play to do that just because you get there faster. But that one, he was pulling up and ran through the base. Didn't make a lot of sense.
So they are looking at this then.
I think they're challenging, I guess, like some type of obstruction. Because Dansby avoided contact.
You know what? I see what they're saying. Like he ran at him like he was going to run him over and then pulled out of the way at the kind of.
Yeah, it's similar to like sliding in to break up a double play.
Yeah. That is so weird.
And that's something that's not allowed anymore. So I understand the challenge.
Yeah. I don't know what.
But they got the out, so I'm not sure what would happen. The runner at first gets called out too?
Well, he's out there at second, but it can't be. I don't know. Honestly, man, I don't know. I mean, I guess if you have to slide, then that's it. I mean, I like Craig Counsell though, man. I mean, like this guy's baseball brain works fast.
Yeah, it sure does.
I mean, I know we're early, but there's just something about the guy. Like he's super confident, really smart. I'm watching. Oh, they are going to call him out. So I guess you can't do that, right?
Yeah. So it was
wait a second.
Out initially.
So okay, so they're just reaffirming that there was an out at second.
But I think the challenge was for challenging obstruction on the play.
Yeah, that's so weird. That's one that I'm going to talk about after the game and try to get a little clarification on. All right, so 2 outs. We need 2 outs for the dub.
Cubs up by a touchdown. Have to feel good about that one. Start the homestand off right. Tomorrow's the doubleheader. The Cubs got Assad and Imanaga going. I don't think they've announced who is starting which game, but they're up against Luzardo and Munoz from Miami.
All right, here we go. Give me a strike 3.
Ha!
2. 1 more to go. That was awesome. I knew that was coming.
2 down.
Tell you what, man, these guys are coming up from AAA and they're getting it done, man. Well, hey guys, we'll do this next time. We'll sync up with you guys at the beginning of the game so that we can all like kind of be on the same page. We did it off there, and we should have just done it with you guys. All right, here we go. Let's get one more and win this thing. Play the song. I don't like to play this. I just like hey, go Cubs go. I love that song, man. Steve Goodman. Can you imagine like Steve Goodman hanging out with John Prine and Jimmy Buffett back in like the 70s and early 80s? And then like, convincing all of those guys to be Cubs fans. I got a buddy that's a Braves fan, and I was like, look, man, I could turn you into a Cubs fan.
Yeah, you've told me about that before.
I just don't want to. I don't want to ruin your life right now. Because the Braves are like it's the heyday of Braves baseball. But if you hung out with me for about a month, you know when it comes to baseball, you would love the Cubs. I guarantee it. All right, here we go. Line drive, base hit. The Marlins are still alive. Assad game 1, according to Jim. And Jim's dog. Look at Jim's dog in the picture.
That means I get to see Imanaga tomorrow night.
Yeah. If that's the case. Arnie Harris. God, I wish I could have worked with Steve Stone and Arnie Harris and Harry. Hey, everybody.
Hello, everybody. Cubs on top, 8-1.
The thing is this, man, is it's hard. It would be really hard to have Harry if the organization didn't have thick skin, because, like yesterday, like I said, we were in a 15-2 game talking about the 999 challenge. We're just trying to keep people watching. And you get a complaint from a lady that's, a fan of the other team that doesn't want to hear about hot dogs and beer. And everybody here thought it was funny. Oh, come on, man. And everybody here thinks it's funny. And but if you were in the wrong spot, they may be like, well, you guys should.
I looked up.
We don't want you. We just want you to talk about your sneakers and analytics for 2 hours.
So I looked up the rule officially, the slide rule. It says when running to the base and attempt to break up a double play, a runner has to make a bona fide slide, such as defined as the runner making contact with the ground before reaching the base, being able to reach the base, and being able to remain on the base afterward. So running through violates the part of not remaining on the base afterward.
Yeah, that didn't look right.
But because there was no contact made, no obstruction was called. Neris doing some soft tossing, but hopefully they don't need him. 2 outs for Brewer. Cubs on top 8-3 here in the top of the 9th.
Oh, man. If we can just get this last out, can bang down to the get things ready for Shaw. Hey, any questions you guys want me to ask Matt Shaw in the interview that I'm going to do today? I don't like the way that this thing, I honestly don't like the way that this thing is just grinded to like we can't get the last out.
All too well. But I'd really like to have Brewer finish this one just so you have that many rested guys for tomorrow's doubleheader.
Yeah, if he messes around, I mean, you're going to have to get him out after this. Yeah, Mark, I'm throwing that up, brother. Here we go. Boom, baby. I'm telling you. Like that. I like that, boys. I like that, friends. Ball game.
Cubs win, fly the old W. 8-3
there we go.
The final.
Go Cubs, go.
You see it hanging right here for a reason.
Oh yeah, dude. I was told you this before. I love that hat. I've got the actual that sign in my house in my Cubs room.
Oh,
and
yeah.
and I love that color green, like that Wrigley green.
Yeah.
Such a great color. Go Cubs, go. All right. Well, look, fun day here. Guys, don't forget, I'm telling you, we will be back in the morning. We'll talk some Cubs with you then. If something breaks, we'll have that. We will do the next Friday. We're going to do all the Friday day games. So when the next one happens, we'll be there for that. So I guess it's next month.
May 3rd.
May 3rd.
Against the Brewers. Craig Counsell welcoming back the Brewers into Wrigley.
Yeah, there you go. On Sunday, mention that. I'm telling you again, make sure that you check out the interview with Cade Horton. And then sometime next week, we'll have Matt Shaw. We're going to try to get a lot of these Cubs prospects that could impact the big league roster. So, but appreciate all of you guys for hanging out with us today. This was really, really fun, man. Any final thoughts?
Well, it's a great win for the Cubs. They now improve to, I believe, 6-1 at home so far this season. So that's obviously good, protecting your team in your ballpark. 12-7 the record now, and approaching first place in the NL Central. I think officially half a game back, I think, of Milwaukee. So you're approaching that first place threshold that they haven't had yet. I get to go to the game tomorrow. I'm super excited for that. But before we go, who's your MVP of the game?
Oh, man. It's Jameson Tyion, man, coming back strong. Pitching wins. Got some help with the defense, but threw strikes. Got that. I thought that first pitch out that he got to start the game was big, and he just rolled after that. And the Cubs offense at home has been just monstrous this year, flying the W again. So I'm going to go with Tyion. How about you?
I was thinking Tyion, but I'm going to go, because you said him, I'm going to go a different way. I'm going to give it to the duo up the middle. Nico Hoerner and Dansby Swanson combined for 4 hits, couple RBI, and they both made some really nice plays. I think they self-diagnosed themselves. Nickel and Dime is the nickname. So Nickel and Dime is my MVP of the game.
Awesome. Guys, thanks for hanging out. Make sure that you like and subscribe to the channel. And again, share with your Cubs friends. Thanks for hanging out. Go Cubs, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow morning.